Birds pregame live presented by DraftKings. We are here, of course, at Goose Island Brewhouse in Fishtown. I'm Jeff Mosher, host of Inside the Birds. You know this guy, Adam Kaplan, my co-host. To his left, we got not one, not two, but three-time Pro Bowl left tackle, formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles, and now a staff member here on Inside the Birds, Trey Thomas. And normally with us tonight is Greg Cosell. Greg could not be here. He'll be back for the next show. We have a special guest filling in for Greg. So special, in fact, that we just got to wait a few minutes. He's getting the makeup. He's getting all the clothes on. So in a few minutes, we will have our next guest, and we will break down this awesome game. So please take a minute to retweet, share, whatever platform that you're watching Inside the Birds pregame live on. Give us a little help by hitting that button so that everybody can watch the show. This is a big game tonight. Some would say this is the first quote-unquote winnable game that the Eagles have in several weeks. They're playing. Already, Trey Thomas has a look. They're playing the New York Giants, division rival. Everything on the line. First place between two one-win teams. So there's a lot at stake. A lot we're going to break down. And unfortunately for the Birds tonight, guys, maybe a tougher opponent than the Giants might be that the injuries that they continue to battle throughout the week. They will be without Zach Ertz. They'll be without Malik Jackson. They will be without Miles Sanders. And let's start like we always do on Inside the Birds with some breaking news. Adam, do we have another changing of the guard?
I think we're going to. We're probably going to see Sua Opeta. Sua Opeta from not the Weber Grill University. It's Weber State, which I thought, quite frankly, years ago when I was a kid, I'm like, is there really a Weber school?
Isn't it actually Weber State?
Weber State, yes.
I think it's Weber State.
Yeah, Weber State. Weber State.
Not
Where
Quaker
is
State.
this?
Not Weber State. Weber State. Is it in Idaho? Where the heck is it?
Yeah.
Idaho?
One of those states with an I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it should be, barring a small surprise, Sua Opeta at left guard. Jeff, as you told us on Inside the Birds, he was a left tackle, I believe, in college.
He was a left tackle in college, yes.
So I believe it's going to be Sua Opeta at left guard, which means Nate Herbig moves to right guard. Yet another change. Now, the question would be, well, why not Matt Pryor, who was activated off the COVID list yesterday? I know that the Eagles announced it today, but it was actually done yesterday. Here's the issue why I don't think it would be Pryor. Pryor, not only did he not participate in their walkthroughs because he couldn't, he could only come off the list last night. So that means he missed all their walkthroughs. The only thing he can do today would be to warm up for a couple hours before the game and see if he can even be active. To see, you got to give him the game plan. So he has a chance to be active tonight, but to me, based on people I've spoken with, I believe it's going to be Sua Opeta. Get his first ever NFL start, and he's had some snaps before, if I'm not correct. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. So I believe that's what's going to happen tonight at, about 8:20.
Oh, boy. Well, that should be fun. I mean, if anything, this is something that the Eagle fan will be used to, watching a offensive lineman make his first start with the Eagles this year. I think that would bring the number to about 4 or 5. Trey, anything that stood out to you at all? I know you've seen the tape with the few snaps that Sua Opeta has played.
Nothing that really stands out. I mean, he's always been the extra lineman whenever they brought in. Whenever Jack Driscoll was starting, then they would have Sua Opeta step in to be that extra lineman when they would run unbalanced or come in with that 13 package where they need an extra lineman on the line of scrimmage. So it would usually be where he would come in on the left side of the field, so they would keep him on the left side. So hopefully, I really don't know much about him other than, he was the extra guy.
I do have a little bit.
Okay, there you go.
Pretty athletic for his size.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Strong. Problem is, when traffic comes at him, sometimes it's a little bit harder for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a problem.
That's why he should have been a 6th or 7th round pick, but he was undrafted. This is a guy they like. When Jeff Stoutland likes a player, more often than not that he's right. So you're going to trust him. Now, why wouldn't be Sua Opeta? They would have to feel so strongly for Matt Pryor, they could literally get the game plan on game day without ever even having a walkthrough. That's a tough thing to do. Could you do that?
I mean, because right at this point, when you're in this is week 7, you're not running anything that's new. I mean, most of the stuff that you're running right now has been worked on since training camp. This is all the same stuff. It's still inside zone, outside zone, unless you have some little gadget play that you might throw into the mix. It's all still the same stuff that you've been working on, so I don't understand why Matt Pryor couldn't get the game plan and just say, all right, man, you know what? We're going to be running inside zone, outside zone. Now, this is a 3-4 defense. This is something that you've been dealing with already for a couple weeks now, so you know what? Get her done.
Get her done. Well, that's basically been the motto.
There he is. There's our surprise guest. Center stage.
Right.
Center stage 67.
I made it. Not on time, but I made it.
This show appreciates fashionably late like no other show.
Hey,
So
man.
you got the glasses. You're about 5 minutes behind, but that's great.
Parking is awful over here.
Parking is really rough. Welcome to Philly, Jamal Jackson.
People want to see center stage 67, man. Come on.
Yeah, man.
Well, if you don't know by now, joining us in pinch hitting for Greg Cosell tonight is former Eagles center Jamal Jackson, a man no stranger to being center stage. That's what he is on Twitter, at center stage 67. So, Jamal, we were just talking about this rotation going on the offensive line. That's a good defensive line thing, not necessarily a good offensive line thing to have guys in and out on a weekly basis.
You don't want to get caught up in having different bodies in there week in and week out. You can't build no chemistry, and we've seen that happen over the course of the season. I mean, I think Kelce is the only able body in there week in and week out, and everyone else is just pretty much, supplemental. So, I mean, they got to get that squared away. And I don't know what happened to my man Jamon Brown, but
What you mean?
I mean,
Wait a minute. What do you mean you don't know what happened?
I know what happened. I just don't know what happened. Like, how is he back on the team and active tonight?
Well, no, but he's on the practice. No, he actually right.
Yeah, he was elevated.
You're right.
Yeah.
He was practice squad within 5 minutes, back to the active front.
What Jamal's trying to say is, how was he not banished from the city after what happened
How
on
does
Sunday?
it, guys? How does that happen? You played the. Let's start with you, Jamal. How does it happen? And I get it. The Ravens have a great front, but how does it happen to see a guy who looks like he never played before?
I mean, life comes at you fast. I don't think he was even expecting to get any playing time because the guy prior, didn't he go out like Thursday or when they found out about the whole COVID thing?
Yeah,
right. So, sometimes when you're in those meeting rooms and you don't think your number's going to get called, you doodling on the pad and you're not paying attention. I mean, but for this guy, he's a veteran. Like, he's been around. So he should have been well prepared to jump in there at any given moment, but he didn't show up to the task.
Perhaps in the meeting room, he was on his phone looking up swag bags.
Swag bags. But you know what? When you're looking at the situation where the way the season has been going, it seems like he should have been preparing himself for it just in case my number is called. Because, I mean, things have just, you have injuries left and right, and you had to expect that someone was going to go down due to COVID for whatever reason. So why not, as an offensive lineman, with all the injuries that's going on, why not make sure that you're prepared? I put a little bit of that on Stout as well, because you should be making sure that everybody on that depth chart is ready to go, because you never know what happens.
All right, well, you guys are running as offensive linemen would do with Trench Talk, and that's a segment that we're going to get into very soon.
You asked us about it.
I did ask you. It's my fault.
Yeah, set it up.
Actually,
Blame me.
it was Adam's fault.
I want to know. Folks want to know. What's it like? How do you handle it?
I promise you, we will get into
All
that.
right, all right.
I want to talk about a new function of the show that I want to tell our viewers about. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to ask anybody here a question, namely Jamal and Trey, I would think, please go ahead. If you're watching on YouTube, go to the chat section or the comment section, ask your questions. We can load it up and we'll try to answer it during the show. So if you got a good question, ask it and we'll do our best to get to it. And again, hit the retweet and the share button as many times as you possibly can. Want to talk about injuries as we always do. Who's in, who's out versus the Giants. It's like a list so long this might take up the whole show for the Eagles. I already mentioned Miles Sanders is going to be out. Adam, how long is he out?
Up to 2 weeks.
Up to 2 weeks, okay.
We still don't know exactly what it is because it's only supposed to be 2 weeks, as much as 2 weeks. He actually could return next week. But the fact of the matter is it's minor. And it's whether it's a bruised knee, whether it's a grade 1 MCL, which could be for a running back. The bottom line is it's a minor injury, thank goodness, in that case. So the bottom line is we know who's going to fill in tonight. It's going to be Boston Scott and Corey Clement. They did not sign Holyfield off the practice squad, which some people had asked us.
Right.
They'd rather go with Jason Huntley as a third, and that's kind of where they're at in that.
Oh, Jason Huntley, I almost forgot he was on the team.
So
go ahead.
Since Miles is down for 2 weeks and with this staff and everything, he has a grade 3 boo-boo?
Is that what the medics are calling it now?
That's what it sounds like. Since we don't know what the injury
We don't know
is,
exactly what it is.
I'm going to call it a grade 3 boo-boo.
Okay,
I'm
grade 3.
still trying to figure out what the hell a day-to-day is.
It doesn't matter.
We get that every
That's
day.
That's what it is
What
for
was
a boo-boo.
day-to-day? What was day-to-day?
We didn't have that. When we played, we didn't have day-to-day.
We
didn't have that. We didn't have that at all.
We can't do that. I'm just.
I had a high ankle sprain in training camp. And Big Red gave me 1 day.
Hey, go get to it.
Yeah, hey man, go
So
get
you were
on
out
there,
an
man.
hour, basically? You had 24 hours?
It was a training. It was like a morning practice. That afternoon, hey man, come on man, throw some red clay on and get on out there.
But that's what you get now for a grade 3 boo-boo. You get 2 weeks off. Yeah, but anyway, I'm sorry.
Listen, if
give
we
it
have to get off your lawn, just let us know, okay? All right, so other injuries. Alshon Jeffrey not playing with a calf. We're going to get into that a little bit soon. Jalen Reagor, the thumb injury. The cast is off. This is actually good Eagles news. The cast has been off, as I reported in our last Inside the Birds pregame live show. He's going to start catching football soon. I believe the timetable is still after the bye, the first week. You never know. They've rushed him a little bit before. We'll see, but at least that's good news with Jalen Reagor. Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. What do we have on them?
Yeah, with Ertz, they put him on IR. We're not going to see him probably for about 4 weeks at a minimum with his injury, and that's a shame. That's a shame because right now, Jeff, Jason Krumer did catch a ball, and it was for a touchdown. He's going to be the second tight end tonight, and Richard Rodgers, who's been involved a little bit. The question now is that they're down to just 2 tight ends. Are they going to be 12 or 11 personnel? Every week we ask this question. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're not. I am guaranteeing more 11 tonight. In fact, it could be 10, which is 4
10
receivers.
personnel.
Yeah, it could be a little 10.
All right.
Because D-Jax is back tonight.
Yeah, that almost sounds
think.
like a Big Red type
We
of game
think,
plan right
yes.
there.
There we go. Air it out, baby. Air it out.
There will be some guys getting healthier soon. You know, Isaac Seumalo, left guard, has been on IR, I believe. He's set to probably
he's got
to
a
come off
knee
after this
sprain,
game.
I'm told. Yeah, he Peters. Okay, let me just go in a row here. Goddard, with his injury, the hope is that he'll actually be able to play right after the bye, maybe start working limited next week. We had said on last week's show that he was targeting week 8. I just don't think that's realistic. I think week 10 or 11 would be better. Cleveland, by the way, is in week 11. And then Seumalo, we talked about, he's got a knee sprain. We're talking about after the bye. And Peters, I'm told, is not expected to play next week. He would be eligible to play after this week. He's got a toe injury. I'm told he's not had surgery. But again, after the bye, most likely would be the case there. We'll get more information next week. But the good thing, as you said, Jeff, some of these guys are going to come back. And after the bye, most of them should be back weeks 10 or week 11.
Of course, that's assuming they don't lose 6 or 7 more guys until then.
Another issue.
Malik Jackson will be out tonight. TJ Edwards will be out tonight. Kavon Wallace will be out tonight. And I think that just about covers everybody who's out tonight. Trey, you were going to say something on...
I just had a question with JP's toe injury.
Yeah.
What kind of toe injury
don't know.
keeps you
I
out for
don't
3-4
know.
weeks?
Turf
Was
toe,
it the
maybe?
gout?
I've had gout before. It's not
Yes,
fun.
the gout is no joke.
But you get rid of it if you drink a lot of water. Like I
Yeah,
did.
my dad used to get the gout all the
I
time.
got it in 3 days when I wasn't healthy years ago. Okay. But it is you cannot walk, man. It's like you've got rocks on your feet. It hurts. No,
Yeah.
but if it's turf toe, it's 3-4 weeks. But I don't know what it is. I just know he had not had surgery.
Let me ask you, does turf toe affect a lineman differently than a skill position player? Not that you guys weren't skilled.
Like, I've never had it. I wouldn't know what a
if we
turf toe
had it,
was.
I mean, it
We wouldn't know,
wouldn't-
right?
I mean-
So,
You just amputate it and play, right?
I
Or
mean,
you
it's
just
not
play?
something that you come on, man.
yeah, man, spit on it and go.
It's
Like,
worse
'cause
for a
it's
running back because turf toe, you stretch or tear ligaments in your toe.
Right.
Running back, you can't. You can't. Philip Lindsay had it, by the way. He missed some time. You
Right.
can't run
That's
on
why
for
I
next
asked
week.
about the
Right.
difference,
No,
yeah.
that's the thing. But for linemen, like some linemen put an insert in and try to play, you got to be able to step and move.
Hey, I just
Okay.
asked the questions, Trey.
Yeah,
I wish
you
I
knew.
knew.
But I'm just
It's
wondering.
not out there. Yeah. I don't know.
You know,
Hey, man, high ankle sprain, dude. One
yeah,
practice.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, what is it that...
One
you
practice,
know,
dude.
Hang on. How did you play with a high ankle sprain?
It was on the goal line. Like, it literally feels like my ankle is, like, detached from my leg. It's so loose. Like, I've never had that
Oh, my God.
injury before. I would always get my ankles taped, but yeah, that's what Rick them diagnosed it as, and Big Red was like, come on, man, we need you.
How
This
long
is
did
like
you-
the second day of training camp.
How long did you feel it for, though? How many weeks?
Ooh,
Months?
at least into the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't really cut that often, but it puts a strain on you. You're trying to like make sharp cuts. So
Real quick, should we expect maybe, I think 11 personnel is probably going to be, and as Adam mentioned, maybe 10, but do you think Hakeem Butler, this is a question from YouTube, from Eagles Evan, will we see Hakeem Butler tonight? It's been a couple of weeks now, so if they want to get this guy integrated into the game plan, you would think they have an opportunity tonight.
Well, he's a pretty accomplished receiver at Iowa State. I know he doesn't run to his 40 time, which is like 4.80. His football speed's more like a 4.6, and that's why he's playing tight end. But the guy's big. He's 6'4".
Yeah.
Because they're so down at tight end, they only have 2 guys available. They could put Butler out there for a package of plays.
Right.
Like, these coaches are supposed to be so creative. Well, you know what? Come up with a package where you could use his talent And his frame, Jeff, he's a huge guy.
Isn't Thursday night, guys, a chance because of short preparation for both teams where maybe you can spring something that you don't think the other team has spent a lot of time practicing for? And I'm not trying to make Hakeem Butler out to be some wet, but I'm just saying a formation, some personnel usage that you haven't shown yet.
Possibly, yes, but you don't have a lot of time to work at full speed yourself.
Right.
So when you have a short turnaround like this is usually, hey, you know, whatever is that you do well. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I mean, this is such a quick turnaround. I mean, you have a Sunday you played, so Monday is usually a recovery day. You might get everybody in there just to watch film and get ready for it. Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday is a walkthrough, you know, so you don't really have the time to go through it full speed to really bring anything new to the table.
Yeah, so they normally just we'll go over things that we were good at and then do them in the game just so we can be better. Just because the week is so short, you know, we'll just focus on the things that we're successful at.
Especially when you have a new offensive line coming to the table now, so you can't come in there with all these fancy trick plays, you know, because you have a whole new line that's going in there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a tight end on the field, fellas.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some of the guys who will be playing tonight for the Eagles. Obviously, tonight will mark the much anticipated return of DeSean Jackson. I do wonder, though, as people get excited about DeSean coming back from missing, it's 3 starts, but it's almost 4 games because he came out fairly early against the Bengals. What we can realistically expect for him from a snap percentage tonight, especially since they did not go very hard in practice this week?
I mean, for him, he's a receiver. I mean, you know, it's not something that he's going to be doing a lot of banging. As long as he can get out there and run, I don't think, the lack of practice will hurt him just because, I mean, he's been down for the last 3 weeks anyway. So this isn't something he should come in and feel fresh and ready to go, hopefully. I hope it's not something where he re-injures himself. That's the problem that we have to kind of be concerned with, is conditioning.
That was last
year's where he is, just to be able to get out there on the field and hold his own.
Okay.
And that's going to be like the problem with this guy. I mean, he's 33, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's fast, yeah, he's small, but man, he got a lot of miles on them legs. So, you know, it takes a toll on him. I mean, we've seen it over the past 2 years. He's played 2.5 games. So,
exactly, last year, yeah.
You know, they really haven't gotten what they bargained for. So, you know, I expect them to be on the pitch count tonight.
Yeah,
I would think 20 to 30 plays. It's really up to him to communicate with the medical staff. This is how I feel. As of last Thursday, everyone associated with this player and the injury thought he was playing because he told them he was playing. The next day, he didn't feel right, so he didn't play. It's now up to him. The training staff could do no more for him. It's up to him, especially after pregame warm-ups. I can't believe it's almost 80 degrees. So, guys, what is it like, by the way, to play in super warm weather?
It doesn't bother me. I'm from Florida.
Yeah,
we're from Florida.
You're linemen, though. Come on, man. You guys grind it out.
Yeah, but I mean, being from Florida, it doesn't bother me. You know, this when we play in those cold games, I really hate cold games.
This is a good lather game.
The
weather, you get out there and run it about 40 times.
Yeah,
All
right. I don't mind playing in the hot games. You know, it's when it gets in the teens. When it gets in the teens, that's when I start like, all right, you know what?
You know what's amazing?
I'm a tropical nature being. Being from Florida.
Talking about DeSean, who's from California.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me to think that you guys were his teammates.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's been a while. It's been a minute since you guys stopped playing football. And he's out there. Actually, it's been a couple minutes since he's been playing football, too.
Right. We called Jack, though, in his rookie year.
Yeah.
So that was his rookie year, you know.
09.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
He's still out there.
One thing I would add, though, you're going to know early on. If they don't try a shot play with him, he clearly is limited. Because they should come, other than James Bradbury, I know we're getting to the matchups later, but just one tip here. James Bradbury is terrific. They have no other good cover corners. If they isolate him with somebody else and they don't throw it to him deep, then there's something wrong.
Yeah, obviously Giants secondary outside of Bradbury is
this is the time to do it, man.
Attack.
Go deep.
All right, so Lane Johnson, last we saw him, he was coming in and out of games. He's given it rest. I believe it's been about 10, 11, 12 days, or maybe a little less than that since he last played. You heard Doug Pederson say how the ankle kind of locks up after that surgery and the rest was the best thing for him. Are you expecting tonight that after 10 or 11 days he can go out there and not have that issue?
I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need him to get out there and play.
Okay.
You know, this is a point right now I felt like that surgery should have been done earlier. So, you know, you got to deal with whatever you have to deal with at this point because your team needs you. I mean, you know, when you keep mixing in different guys, and you know, and the line is struggling because of the guys that you usually depend on are not able to play. And when he had a surgery this late in the season, in training camp, this is what you have to deal with. You put this on yourself, so I need you to do whatever you need to do to get out there on that field.
All right. So
I'm a bit weary of it just because, like, this is Lane. Like, it's the same guy. I mean, I think a couple years ago when he was out due to the suspension, he came back and they ran roughshod over the Giants. Now this year he's dealing with an injury that forced him out of a couple games, like after having surgery already. Like, they didn't repair anything. They said rest would be the equalizer for him.
Right.
But, you know, for a guy like him, he's a natural tough guy. For him to take himself out the game, you're gonna need more than rest, like, to get that thing rolling. So, you know, hopefully, you know, a little injection here and there, magic pill before the game, and, you know, get him going.
Get some of that magic medicine, you know, and that happens a lot in the league.
that doesn't happen. That's only in the movies.
Okay.
One follow-up. How much could he help with a run game? Because it's been awful. With Kelce back. With Kelce, with Mailata, who's locked in at left tackle, at least he's getting playing time. He's playing fairly well. How much could Lane help the run game guys?
Yeah, well, you know what, it's going to be more on combination blocks possibly, you know, depending on, because it seems like it's his left ankle that's causing the problem. So now, you know, is he going to be able to create that movement? Because now, when you're talking about it's your left ankle, that means that your second step is what creates movement when you're trying to drive block. So is he able to get that push, you know? And then you're running against a 3-4 defense, okay? So now, when I'm talking about a 3-4 defense, you're going to have your 3 interior defensive linemen. That's going to be a defensive end, nose guard, defensive end. Then you have outside linebackers. He hurt his ankle against Pittsburgh because he set out on a 3 technique instead of setting vertical, because the guard ended up getting all twisted up because of the set line that he took. And then now that's what injured his ankle, because you can see right after that, the play after that, he ended up hobbling a little bit. So now you're going up against a 3-4 defense again. Is he going to be disciplined with his set lines so that he doesn't have that same injury?
Okay. All right, so obviously something to watch about that, how he sets in the communication now that he's got another different right guard next to him. Let's get this. Carl Stevenson asked us about the linebackers, which we wanted to get into anyway. Duke Riley returns tonight, okay? So you've got Duke Riley, Nate Gary, and Alex Singleton, and the rookie Sean Bradley, who played a decent amount last week. I'm curious to see how the linebacker rotation looks, because in my untrained eye, I would say Alex Singleton has played best among all the linebackers, and I know that's what we heard. So should nickel be Alex Singleton and Duke Riley, or do you still put Nate Gary out there?
You know what? When it comes to me, when I look at Singleton, he's a lot more disciplined when it comes to his responsibilities. I think Nate Gary gets fooled a lot by the eyes of the quarterback, just because he's reading the eyes of the quarterback, and he's very easily manipulated when it comes to if the quarterback wants to look him off and come back the other way. So Singleton, to me, just seems like he's a lot more disciplined when it comes to playing.
I honestly feel like he's playing out of position. Nate Gary, like, they got him as a middle linebacker. Like, what is he, like 220?
Former safety.
Yeah, it does seem, though, that they've moved with Singleton on the field, and then last week Sean Bradley, they played at middle, and it looks like they've moved Gary more to
outside.
The
you know, I think that would be more natural for him to, like, you know, take on, like, I guess the tight end or the back out of the backfield. But when he gets swallowed up by those big guys, man, he has no hope.
Yeah, because you need your linebackers. You know, your middle linebacker has to be an animal.
Yeah.
You know, that middle linebacker, when you're talking about a 4-3 defense, that middle linebacker has to be an animal. He needs to be able to come downhill. You're taking on guards. You're taking on tackles. You know, you need to be the one that can play downhill, and Nate Gary is not that guy.
Well, when we do our show in March, right, we'll do a pre-draft show, and we'll talk about this team's approach to linebacker and whether they've had an animal at middle linebacker since your former teammate Jeremiah Trotter.
Man, we haven't had a middle linebacker since the X-Man.
No, that's true. D'Amico was good, but I think Jeremiah was an animal.
X-Man was what you want as a middle linebacker.
Him and Bill Berge.
Right.
When you have a nickname, that's all you need to say, right?
All right, real quick, finishing up the guys coming back. Avonte Maddox will be back tonight. Can play the outside. That obviously helps because it keeps Jalen Mills at that safety position where he inside interior coverage guy that he's better at. Marcus Epps also should be back. He missed last week's game with a rib injury. As for the Giants, Saquon Barkley out. He's been out for the year with an ACL. Devontae Freeman filling in as their bell cow. It sounds like Darius Slayton will be good to go tonight. Is that the?
Yeah. He
Eagles
stayed
killer
in the walkthrough. Yeah, he killed him last year, but now you've got Darius Slay, who should be on Darius Slayton.
There you go. The all-anticipated Darius Slayton versus Darius Slay.
Slay combo.
There we go.
Someone named Darius Slay will win that tonight. Sterling Shepard going to be a game-time decision. Going to test it out.
No, he's going to play. Yeah, they activated him, so he'll play. The question is, you mentioned Maddox is back. How do the Giants play it? Does Jason Garrett go more 11 personnel?
Right.
I would, but they only have one true outside receiver. That's Slayton. The other guys are really more inside, so that'll be interesting to see what they do.
All right, most people know Nate Solder opted out, their left tackle. They've been playing their rookie, Andrew Thomas. He has struggled. He was, I believe, benched a little bit for team rules violations last game. He'll be back at left tackle tonight. We'll see if they keep him there or if it's kind of a rotation as they did last week.
Team rules violation, what was that?
He violated a team rule.
That's what's up.
That's what a team's rule violation is.
Not what's up.
I got to elaborate on that?
That's good. That's good. I like that.
Well, Joe Judge.
As a rookie, violate a team rule. It's all right.
New coach,
Find
Joe
your
Judge.
boundaries.
The same rookie out in Seattle tried that and he got cut.
Oh, that was different. No, that's a different way to do it. Trying to sneak some fun in.
Right.
Tay Crowder will play tonight for this.
Crowder is on IR.
Crowder's on IR.
He's the guy who scored the touchdown last week.
Right.
Unfortunately, he got hurt, so what they'll probably do is use David Mayo inside linebacker, but they're thin there.
Right.
They've got some issues with a couple defensive players hurt, but Crowder, unfortunately, he scores the touchdown but then goes on IR. How does that happen?
Yeah, well, that's almost like Eagle kind of fortune right there.
Right.
Lorenzo Carter also on IR. O'Shea Jimenez is on IR. Xavier McKinney, the rookie, the guy from Alabama, right?
Second rounder, he's on
second
IR.
Rounder, on IR.
They're,
Sounds familiar.
They're thin at outside linebacker. To get that rotation going, they're real thin with Jimenez, who went to Old Dominion with Travis Fulgham.
Fulgham, that's right.
Right.
What a football powerhouse.
It's almost like Troy. I mean, it's just out of nowhere. All these players come out of nowhere and they're balling.
There you go.
Other than DeMarcus Ware.
All right, we mentioned Matt Pryor has been activated. Jason Kroom, Jamon Brown elevated. Ertz on IR. T.Y. McGill elevated, I believe, from the practice
Will be the fourth D tackle.
Should be the fourth D tackle. Will be interesting to see now that they're down one D tackle, Malik Jackson, if they go back to playing a D end inside in the pass rush like they've done in the past.
75, Curry maybe, right?
Vinny Curry or Brandon Graham.
Fully expect BG to be down there.
Get BG down in there against a guard. I can see that.
Does that hurt when you guys are lining up? Because it was going back. It was done in your day when the NASCAR package with the Giants with ends going inside. Does that give you a different challenge as an alignment?
Oh, it does. As an interior lineman, because he's on the outside, so whoever he's facing is going to be somebody fast. But for us guys, you have to adjust to the speed of it. Like when they would move, even Justin Tuck down. I mean, he was a handful. Like some of those guys where New England, they likes to put like the outside linebackers at defensive end, the ends at tackles. It kind of it gives you a little bit of problems because you got to adjust to how fast they're coming off the ball.
How do you do that? By hand usage or foot? What do you do?
Well, personally, like your set can take care of everything. Your footwork, Like as a center, it's like footwork and hands. But as a guard, your footwork. If your footwork and your shoulders are square, I mean, it's kind of hard to get beat.
Yeah, you got a chance, and especially when you're dealing with a smaller guy. If they have the inside foot back, I'd jump him all day. Yeah. With a guard, I would
just swallow him up.
Yeah, just go ahead and jump him because he has to take 2 steps before he can make a move. So I would go ahead and just jump him. A lot of times you run into problems because you see the speed, you see a smaller guy down there, and you try to set back. And then that's what creates problems because now you're giving him space and allowing him to get his footwork down and give you a move instead of just going ahead and cutting that distance down and getting your hands on him and then controlling him from jump.
All right, well, let's continue it. We'll get into it with Trench Talk, as we always do here on Inside the Birds pregame live. You mentioned speed. You know who's got speed and used to play for the Giants was OCU Manura.
Yeah.
And Winston Justice found out the hard way when Trey had to go get that knee.
I make it look easy, man.
Yeah,
why does this always come up,
why?
man? Like,
I
can't. No, not you. You didn't play.
Let me explain.
I was in that game. I gave up 2 sacks. I know I did. We was all. Yeah, it was bad.
Not a lot of people would be man enough to admit they gave up 2 sacks when all the focus was on Winston Justice.
Oh, of course. I mean, we all played a part in that. Like, it's just from the outside, everybody looked at Winston because he was spot shadowed the whole time. But there were some things that we could have done in there to help him.
Yeah,
there were some things I could have done to help him.
Well, I mean, Big Red could have put a blocker next to him too at one point.
Yeah,
but
you know,
I know,
extra tight end, sure.
A little coaching thing here and there, but I mean, that happened, and it actually made us better because I want to say after that game, the most sacks we've given up in the game was like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So
well, Trey came back.
yeah, he came back. Yeah, had to solidify things.
Well, the reason why I brought him up to you, asked why he comes up, is because I was wrong. I have to come and admit to the people that I was wrong. For 2 weeks, I said Matt Pryor is not getting the job done. You got this veteran named Jamal Brown. You got to bring him up and play him. And I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong as well. Last week, and I know he's not playing today probably, but we need to discuss how when Jamal Brown played, he was charged with 4 quarterback hits, 2 sacks, 3 hurries, 9 total pressures, and you've all seen by now he helped sack Carson Wentz.
Oh,
so you can give him a half sack on top
he
of
did
that.
get a half sack.
I've never seen anything like that before.
I
The way that
could-
he
well,
did it,
that's what I
Jeff,
said, yeah.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
I couldn't help but be reminded of the Winston Justice game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
What happened there, Trey? I know you said that it wasn't all his fault when you took an aerial view of everything that went on, but what did you see from him in particular?
You know what? You saw some good and you saw a lot of bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were times where he took a nice set, was able to shoot his hands, and it was solid. But what I saw from him right out the gate is that he gets sideways too quick. You know what I'm saying? And, like, what happens when I'm talking about he gets sideways? He'll take a set, and then that outside foot drops. So now his shoulders are turned like this, and he's setting this way. Now that opens you up for any type of inside move. You know what I'm saying? So, to me, it just seems like his set was just way off. Again, when you had one of the sacks, one of the sacks was on Kelce because it was an empty backfield, which means that now you're going to be on man protection, so you can't slide. And Kelce was a little late coming back for the linebackers coming over the top, and now Campbell comes and rushes over Kelce. That creates pressure, was a sack. But Jamal Brown, he didn't help himself at all with just some of the protection stuff. And then just going out there and getting your ass kicked, and then now taking a picture with Lamar Jackson, that pretty much cemented what was going on.
They went to Louisville together. I mean, come on.
But still, I mean, you know what? You can take a picture later on together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's something. Since y'all went to school together, that's something that you can go do later on.
Did you notice the snap where he had to fix his gloves while the play was still going on?
You see, man, when I saw it on film, I didn't I read like a subtitle like, "Why is this guy fixing his gloves?" He didn't do that. I had to rewind the thing again. He's fixing his gloves.
He sure
What the hell are
did.
you doing?
Yeah.
So I mean, I just think, man, it's just.
It's a veteran. Can you believe that?
I mean, it has to do with the whole COVID situation and the lack of chemistry and play. Because his mind wasn't even in the game.
Oh, wow.
You can't be if you're fixing your gloves as a lineman and you help sacking the quarterback. Like, it was an awful outing. I mean, it was just one of those situations where he'd like to forget about it. And it couldn't have been that bad because they brought him back.
Yeah. Because he did enough good for them to bring him back. And that's why
Name me one good thing he did.
he got up to the linebacker one time. He got a nice cut on the linebacker when it was an outside zone, which was really nice. I'm telling you, there were times in pass protection that it was cool where he took a nice set, shot his hands. But then, you know, when you start the game off with a sack, which wasn't all his fault. The first sack was because Jordan Mailata got work with the defensive end, stabbed in, made Jordan Mailata what they call a stopping of the feet, which, you know, a lot of people, they say, oh, he made the offensive lineman stop his feet. But it's not a stopping of the feet. When you set, you have to stab in and then you come back out. So it's something that has to be drilled all the time. And it's something that I used to walk through every day just to make sure once the defensive end stabs in, you stab in with your inside foot, then you come back out. But, you know, it created pressure there, and then Jamal Brown took a bad set on that, gave up the edge, and then that was that's how you start the game off with a sack. And then also he hurt Jack Driscoll. He was the one that took his defensive lineman and threw him into Jack Driscoll's leg, which caused the ankle sprain. So all of that mixed into everything that was going on,
Net negative?
you get cut after your first game.
Melting pot of BS right
Yeah,
there, boy.
That's
What it
That's
is.
a long
That's a
list
lot,
of stuff
boy.
that's
That's a
going
lot.
on. Yeah.
Like, that's why I was surprised that they brought him back.
Yeah. Speaking of a game maybe being off, according to the people on YouTube who are watching, Your jacket and hoodie game is tight, but the kicks game is getting recognition right now as not being so good.
Oh, what you mean?
I'm just telling you.
Oh,
that's what-
no, hold on. First of all, these are
Don't shoot the
custom.
messenger.
No, they aren't even custom. These are limited edition denim Jordans. Come on, man.
Well,
Just because you don't know what we look, you know.
maybe they can't. Can you show the good people
I don't
at
know.
home?
How can I show my shoes?
I don't
you
know,
what
but
I'm saying?
they can see 'em.
These are denim Jordans. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Try to
pretty
find
cool.
some.
Don't
If
shoot-
you don't like them, try to find some then.
He's just being overshadowed. That's all. He's just being overshadowed. That's all.
Check out them. Those are denim Jordans,
You
man.
guys
Pretty
can't set me up like this, man. These two big
Those
guys
are
are going to
denim-
come after me if you
These
keep
are
making fun of
denim
his kicks.
Jordans.
All right, Jamal, you
I
mentioned.
gotta take these off, man. Y'all talking about my shoes, man.
Oh, those are pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Look at my zoom in on my shoes.
Size 17?
Yeah, zoom in on my shoe
What's
right
the
there,
issue
man.
here?
Those
are
are
pretty cool.
denim Jordans,
I like
baby.
them.
Oh, where they
Yeah,
at?
but they came to see these.
Yeah, those
They
denim
didn't come to see
Jordans.
those. They
What
came
are you
to see
talking about?
Kanye for president.
Let's not get it carried away. I want Adam to bring the Birkenstocks out here.
Yeah,
now.
no, hell no. I don't wear sandals,
All
man.
right, so Jamal, you had mentioned COVID. It throws a curveball into everything. You've seen it not just with the Eagles, but around the league, a lot of injuries. But of course, what we've seen on the Eagles' offensive line has been very rare with, again, another starting combination. I think the 6th in 7 games for the Eagles as far as offensive line combinations. It's been a dizzying rotation, and Jason Kelce actually spoke about it after the last game. He was asked how they're holding it together with so many guys in and out. Let's listen to the All-Pro Center right now.
During the next week, have you ever been a part of this, either professionally or in your college days, and how do you guys keep that continuity going, especially on a short week now coming up with the Giants?
Yeah, we've had some injuries here before. Obviously this is on another level, and the whole off season and everything that's transpired with this season, and COVID and everything. You're seeing injuries up across the league. I mean, everybody seems like they're dealing with this issue right now. I haven't really been a part of something like this drastic, I guess, in my career. But this is the way, you're always trying to, overcome this stuff. You're always, game planning and coaching and trying to get guys ready for whoever's going to be there on game day. And at the end of the day in this league, that's all that matters,
All right, that was Eagles All-Pro center Jason Kelce. Very candid. He said, look, there's no excuses. He wanted to make that clear. But he did say this is on another level and that it's something that he's never really been a part of. The Eagles had a lot of injuries last year, a little bit on the offensive line, but nothing like you're seeing this year. Trey, given that, and I know we don't like to make excuses, but what is like
But we're making some.
No. We're going to ask a question here.
Okay.
Jason's really the only guy who's started every single game. I know you didn't play center. Jamal, I'll get to you in a minute, but just holding that together as the veteran center, how difficult does that become for him?
You know what? And I'm going to let Jamal talk about this more, but at the end of the day, you just make calls.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you still got to call the offense. You still got to call the blitz. You still got to say, hey, that's a cap safety over there. If it's 3 jet, you got to slide right. It doesn't matter who you have next to you. My problem with this offensive line at times, though, because you have guys that are new, you slide the line to protect the player instead of sliding the line to protect the quarterback. And that is a problem.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's right to a certain extent. He's a tackle, so he just thinks all we do is make calls and just.
No, that's not all. That's not all. I'm not trying to minimize.
I kind of
your
felt
job.
like I felt a little
I'm sorry if I offended you. I
Do more than
apologize.
that. When it was a 3-4, we got to go solo the whole game.
Yeah, you got to go
All right, here we
solo.
go.
Yeah.
All right, no, but what Kelce alluded to, I mean, it's tough. Game in and game out. You don't know the guy to your left or to the right of you. You're not familiar with his stance. He's not familiar with the snap count. It can turn into a situation where you put a lot of onus on yourself to get the calls to them and tell them what to do. There's several times that, you have to turn to the right, to the left. Okay, Mike's 55. We got an L, slip backside. You got to relay all that within 10, 15 seconds. And then all while you have moving parts on defense. So, it can be overwhelming at times, but that's what he signed up for. He's an all-pro center.
That's why they're paying the big bucks, right?
Right. I think, with him trying to hold it together, it's actually going to bring out the best in him because he's going to try to go above and beyond, try to get the job done.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand, the center is the quarterback of the offensive line. I mean, he's the one that's directing all of the protection. He's the one that's making sure when it comes to run blocks, he has to point out who we're working. Once he makes his call, everything breaks down from there. So it's all based off what the center says. Everything in protection, everything in the run game is based off whatever the center says. He is the law of the offensive line when it comes to this game plan.
See, that's why I say I gave up 2 sacks. One, my man sacked the quarterback, and the other, I missed a blitz. So
you called
back
the wrong
when we
protection.
played, it was on the center. We made all the calls, all the blitz protections.
All the money too, right?
Yeah, like that was, well, no, not all the money, but you know,
I
they
called
gave that to the guy who was giving the ball to,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that was our responsibility of making sure the quarterback, all he had to do was read coverage.
Jamal, how tough is it going into 34 front as a center?
Physically, it can be tough because you got a guy over you the whole game. You know, whether he's head up or left to the right of you, you're going to have a guy occupying that space in front of you. Where it gets tricky is picking up the blitz schemes and calling out the proper inside backers. Because, you know, they got like, this guy's 49, this guy's 36, this guy's 27. You're like, he's a safety, he has a safety number. So, you know, during the week, we identified the known rushers and the down linemen, so to speak. So, you know, from that standpoint, we had came up with like this surefire protection. We called it the bird. You know, that was our thing that gave him his call, regardless who lined up in front of him, me my call, and like everybody had their own built-in like rules with that protection. So, you know, when it came down to a 34, a base 34, we were solid. It's just the blitz pickups and like the the green dogs and the overloads and stuff like that.
I believe this will be the 3rd straight 3-4 defense that the Eagles are facing this week.
And when he's talking about a bird, real quick, like when he says that, that's pretty much like us saying like a 5-0. All right, so we got double fans on each side. So that's saying that our 5 offensive linemen are going to take your 5 defensive linemen. So that's what we're talking about when we're saying like a bird 5-0. But now the problem is when we're saying, okay, who's the known rusher? Because you might have outside linebacker that's standing up outside, and then the actual known rusher is standing up in that middle linebacker position, and you have to be careful with who you call,
identify.
because now if you mess around and call the wrong person, you putting the running back on the defensive
end.
Yeah,
right. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Obviously, a lot of responsibility then on Jason Kelce again tonight as the center. One bright spot I think we could all agree on with the offensive line has been the play of Jordan Mailata. Again, not perfect, but for a guy really just cutting his teeth at left tackle, seemingly doing the good job. And there was one thing I noticed in the last game I want to let our viewers and listeners check out because I thought it was really interesting and goes back to something that Trey Thomas has talked about. So let's take a look at what happened after the Carson Wentz fumble. Chuck Clark recovers it, and here's what happened. Take a look. Now, you want to talk about some closing speed, right? That was a tackle. Trey, I know you talked about the mean streak that you thought he still needed to develop and refine. Not only does he make the tackle, the guy tries to get up and he shoves him, double arm shoves him down.
Did he dig him up yet? Because I thought he was buried.
I mean,
that made you happy?
That right there was absolutely beautiful. When you go back and you look at Jordan Mailata, I did. I got a little misty just seeing it. You know, I'm like, oh my God, that is absolutely beautiful. I can't believe that. You know, Jordan Mailata actually put a hit up. But when he came in, that was like a form tackle from none other. Like you couldn't put any other defense. You could put any defensive player out there. And that was a beautiful form tackle. Got his hand on the ball, really had his head on the other side of the body, leaned into him, whatever 300 and whatever pounds 60, that he is.
Many.
Yeah, I mean, just leaned all of that weight into him. And then I don't know if it was a shove right out the gate, because it seems to me like Jordan was like, let me help you out,
help you up.
And then he got him. Because Jordan is just that type of guy. But it seemed like the dude was mouthing off, and it seemed like Jordan was like, here, I'm going to extend you this olive branch. Oh, you talking trash? Well, he'll catch these thorns. And he just gave him a nice little shove to the chest.
I think I had just gained more respect for him.
And Jordan, that was a beautiful play for him, just to show some aggression and show. I think as he's gotten more comfortable with the position, you're starting to see just a little bit more aggressiveness throughout his play as he continues to move on.
How good could he be from what you've seen so far?
I think he could be extremely good, man. I am wowed by how well he is playing right now, only being, this is his 4th game. 4th or 5th game, maybe 3rd or 4th.
He's only played football. He never knew what football was.
Yeah, he didn't know.
Ago.
You know, so this is his 3rd year in football, but his technique is getting a lot better each week. You know, and there's certain stuff that he needs to, you know, have somebody to work with him on. But I tell you what, man, he's been out there giving everything that he has.
See, that's the thing that will have offensive line coaches like salivating over this guy. Like, he's athletic. Mm-hmm. He can run. He's a giant of a man. And like you said, with the when the dude tried to help him, when he tried to help the dude up and he shoved him down.
Yeah.
I need that every play.
Every play.
Give me that every play.
Every play.
Like, he can cave literally one side of the offensive line down.
But how do you do that, though, if you have a mentality as a rugby player, but not in football? How do you do that? How do you turn it on?
You
and
have
off?
to develop that.
Yeah,
that's
off season. That's getting mad at coming to practice during when everybody else is.
You got to get your ass kicked.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no, that has to be developed. Like, all of us went to college and we got our ass kicked, and you start to develop that mindset to where it's, you know, F everybody that's out there that I'm against, you know what I'm saying? And there has to be a certain type of aggression and mentality where I don't see anybody. And it has to be that.
He needs that fine tape that Juan showed us. That's what he needs.
Yeah.
That finish tape. Every block on there was questionably.
What tape is this? I don't know if people know
I'm
about
getting to that. Every block on this tape was a questionable $10,000 to $15,000 fine.
Yeah. Oh, so it was about finishing. Just all John Runyon.
It was no. It was mostly. Trey was in there a couple times, but you know, like that tape right there. He showed us that like day one, and that like instilled in us like this is the attitude you need to have as an offensive lineman. We play offensive line like defensive line. We attack.
Yeah.
So whenever you're uncovered or whatever, you taking somebody out. And when I saw that tape, I was like, man, is this legal? Like, some of that stuff it wasn't even legal. Like, the hit,
it was in the gray.
Yeah, so.
It was in the gray.
Gray area,
and then you master playing in the gray as a great offensive lineman.
Now you would definitely be fine for it.
He showed us that in spring. He didn't have pads on.
Yeah.
So, you know, like that right there, when they showed us that from the jump, I knew, hey, you got to be physical to play this position.
It's a little too early, but it's a great question from YouTube, so I'm going to ask it to you fellas. It's from Super Saiyan 4226. It wants to know, with Jordan playing this well, what do you do at left tackle next year when Andre Dillard comes back?
It's a competition. If he continues to play like we're seeing, because remember, he's going against probably back-to-back the two NFL's best defenses, right? Mm-hmm. If you play this well now, just think about how well he's going to play as we go along. You expect him to get better. He's not perfect, but he'll get better. So you've got Dillard, a former first-round pick, who's not going to play this season. It's a competition to me. Mm-hmm. Best man wins. Now, here's a question, though. How long could you go for this competition? Could you take it to training camp, or what do you do?
I mean, to me, Jordan is my starter right now. I mean, you've given Dillard a couple of years to see what he could do. I mean, he hasn't really, other than the Chicago game, that last year, he kind of gave you a little something that showed you some type of promise. But then, Stoutland moved him over there to right tackle, and then he got destroyed against Seattle. But, to me, it's hard for me to say, all right, Jordan, the way he's played over these past couple games, that, hey, you know what, we're going to make you compete. To me, Jordan would be the guy, and you just got to figure out what you're going to have to do with Dillard. Either you could play guard, or we can send you packing, because to me, Jordan is the future left tackle.
Yeah, because you got a guy that, as raw as he is, and this is what I like about this situation, he has he can't develop any bad habits, so to speak, because he didn't play before. Like, this is all he knows.
You don't have to break any bad habits.
He's being ushered into the game at his highest level as far as the teaching goes. So, I think the sky's the limit for this guy if he can keep on progressing the way he has.
And continue to develop that nasty mentality that you need to play this position.
Was he a great rugby player?
I don't know. I don't watch rugby.
No, I'm just saying, because you got to know something about
I'm going to go out on a limb and say he wasn't a bad rugby player.
He wasn't a bad
that size and the ability to run, I'm going to say he was probably pretty good.
Rugby players?
I don't know. They just get in the scrum and just go at it, I guess.
I hear that Australian media is tough too, man.
Yeah, I see some of his highlights. It seemed like he was awesome.
Oh, okay.
He's only 23 years old. That's incredible.
And that's the thing. That's
you got to love that.
He has the size. He has the talent, man.
And he's been in the NFL system, 3 years now?
3 years.
Only third year.
Yeah.
So
he's been learning. He's been playing football for 3 years.
Well, continuing to talk about trenches, I mean, obviously the Eagles' offensive line does have its work cut out with all the injuries. The Giants' offensive line has not been picture perfect as well. If you take a look at the top 5 most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL, you will see Carson Wentz at number 1 and Giants quarterback Daniel Jones number 5 with 17 sacks, Carson 25. No surprise then that these two teams have combined for just 2 wins. In fact, if you look at the entire list, Wentz, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Gardner Minshew, Daniel Jones, you'll notice the common theme there. They're all the quarterbacks of 1-win teams. I have a concern, as well as Carson has played the last 2 weeks, that this is going to catch up to him.
Yeah.
And you take that many hits, you're going to get hurt. Adam, do you share that?
I do. It's just not possible he continue to get hit like this and him last. I get that, yeah, he put the weight on, he's 250, that's great, but he's a human being. Like, if you keep continuing to get driven to the ground, you're eventually not going to finish. And that's a problem. But I'll say this, though. Once they get to the bye, eventually get Peters back, I believe he'll play right guard. I really do. Because I'll tell you what, the word internally is he was tremendous in training camp at guard. Like, they were really happy with him at guard. You get left tackle solidified with Mailata, Lane's back at right tackle, Kelce's at center. And then if you have to, we'll see when Mailata, we'll have an update on him next week. But you're eventually going to get these back. This line, actually, I know it's hard to see this because all these guys are hurt, but the potential of this line with Mailata at left tackle, with his athleticism and his size, could actually be pretty good.
Let me ask you, Trey. I mean, I know Jason Peters is here. They gave him the money. They got Mailata at left tackle. Do you slide Peters into right guard and maybe move out Nate Herbig, who's starting to develop, or perhaps somebody else, Matt Pryor? I don't know what it's going to look like in a week or two because I don't know what it's going to look like tonight at the end of the game.
I mean, if JP comes back, I can't see you taking Jordan out of the game plan and moving him and putting him on the bench. You know, the way he's been playing, you have to continue to ride with Jordan the way he's been playing. Maybe you put Nate back at left guard, and then you say, all right, JP, or even depending on how JP comes back, I would much rather see JP at left guard than to put him over at right guard.
Because he's played there.
Yeah, just because it's more
Left
natural
side.
for him. It's more a natural position for him instead of putting him over on the right side. I know you've heard that he was done well. I've heard that it was not well. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, hopefully, you know, I would much rather see him at left guard and just say, all right, you go out there and rock out with Big Jordan, and we just see how it goes. Because having him switch sides and moving inside could be a problem. And with his conditioning, he hasn't been, you know, you jump in right now this late in the season, you know, he really hasn't been going at it like that.
Yeah. I mean, my feeling is I kind of feel just like how I would with the Travis Fulgham situation. Like, I don't want him to lose any snaps because right now, you know, he's trending upward. And you don't want to impede that progression. Just like with the young guys like Herbig and Jordan Mailata. I don't want those guys to come out because, you know, Nate Herbig, he's a backup player, but he's played well. You know, you give him a questionable hold in here and there, and I mean, he's been solid all year. So I wouldn't want to like disrupt that, at least on that left side, because they seem to kind of like building a little bit of chemistry over there, and I don't think you want to like disrupt that just to like satisfy Jason Peters, you know?
Sure.
I mean, if anything, I'd throw him back at right guard. Where they put him at?
Well, they already disrupted it this week because, I mean, you know, you have who's coming in?
If they stick with it, would be Opeta.
Yeah, so you got Opeta, so you've already mixed that up by bringing Opeta in and moving Nate over to right guard. So
they moved Nate to right guard for this game?
That's what I'm hearing. That's in the plans now. We'll see if they stick by it.
You can't, I mean, like this line, they're never going to get it together. Like you said, maybe you have to wait until the bye week and get everybody back. Because it's like, you can't do that.
How are you guys feeling? Because, you know, next man up is basically you two.
But
here's the question. How are you guys feeling? Because every week y'all got to report a different guy, a different lineup, you got to learn about it.
When I heard from a couple of people, I'm like, really? But I know they like Opeta. Look, he's in another undrafted free agent they've developed pretty well. But you listen to you guys talk, it's more mental gymnastics. You're asking a guy who's not played, and then you're asking Herbig to move. Why don't you just stay with Herbig and play? But the thing is, Pryor, though, and that's what I was asking. Pryor's not even been on the field for a week. You're just going to say, go ahead, play. You haven't been on the field.
I would have gone ahead and rock out with Jamon Brown just to go ahead because, I mean, you have nothing
That
else.
will not happen tonight.
But I'm just saying, though, I mean, when you go ahead and look at what's going on, I mean, he already had a start under his belt. I mean, you know what? You had an awful game.
Figure it can't be as bad, right?
But I do think he would have benefited more with a healthier Lane Johnson at right guard. Like,
At
I mean, at right
okay.
tackle.
Yeah.
Right tackle, yeah.
I'm talking like last week, the Jamon Brown guy. Like he would have played better if he had somebody next to him that was, wasn't Jeff Driscoll.
Yeah,
so
that was
to
going to
speak.
set a little bit more vertical,
Yeah.
probably drag for the 3 technique for you to kind of give you some. But a lot of people, they don't understand like the chemistry that has to happen on the offensive line. There's a lot of unspoken just stuff that happens in the offensive line that you can't verbalize.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What
Like
do you
if
do?
there's say if there's a game or a stunt or something
Yeah,
that's happening
yeah,
where there's something where there's
yeah.
something that's going on where there's an ET or whatever. I know where I need to be. I know where Todd Harris is going to be, and there's a switch off
You
that
trust him that
happens
he can do it.
without
Right.
it not
Okay.
without all the conversation.
Got it.
It's just a communication and just knowing and trusting the person that you're with.
If they do it, you got that guy.
Of
and
course,
I got it.
of
Okay.
course.
I
Got
mean,
it.
it's
Okay.
almost like,
Got it.
like
Because you
like
play together,
the minds are connected.
He knows
You
it.
look at it,
you
you're like, all
trust
right.
him, right? Because you trust him, right?
Yeah, you trust the
Got
person that you're next
Got
to,
it.
Like even when you see, like right now we're a little different, but 9 times out of 10, when you see Todd, Jack, and I, we're in left tackle, left guard, center position. You know what I'm saying? Just
Right.
because
Like,
that's
this is
usually
normally
how
how
it
it
used to
is.
being, And
Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, but and
Feel out
that's
of
just
place
how
right
it
here,
is.
right now. I kind of feel out of place.
Well, speaking of Todd Harriman and you two, you can always catch Tales from the Blind Side, a show featuring Trey Thomas, Jamal Jackson, and Todd Harriman's every week, I believe Tuesday, on the Inside the Birds YouTube platform. It's a great show. I encourage everybody to check it out. And yes, on the screen, they even appear left, middle, center, just like that.
Stay for the stories. Trust me, it's worth it.
yeah.
Let's flip the script as we continue trench talk and go with the defensive line.
Yeah.
This should be an area tonight where the Eagles have the advantage. The Giants' offensive tackles have not been great. Conversely, Brandon Graham quietly having a very good season. I don't know if people realize this, but he is 3rd in the NFL with 8 tackles for a loss. He's tied for 4th in the NFL with 5 sacks, and his 9 quarterback hits puts him in top 16 at that position. He's going to line up over right tackle most likely. It's not a very strong position for the Eagles. And at over left tackle is going to be a combination of Derek Barnett and Josh Sweat. That's got to be – this is where the Eagles have to win the game tonight, no?
Oh, of course, in the trenches. I mean, they got to get to the quarterback. This is one of those games where I expect pressure all night from just the front four. I don't expect them to blitz them at all because how I look at like the Giants' offensive line is kind of similar to the Eagles' offensive line. They're just shuffling bodies in there week in and week out, and it's one of their poorest points of their team as far as strengths go. So, I expect them to. I expect at least Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, like the heavy hitters, to show their worth tonight.
Trey, how impressive have you been with Josh Sweat?
I think Josh Sweat has definitely been coming along. He's been showing some flashes of greatness. Showing some flashes every now and then with some nice moves. I really would wish that he would use his length a lot more just because he has such long arms. I would like to see him work a lot more one-hand stab just because if he comes with a one-hand stab, if you don't know how to handle that as a tackle, the one hand is longer than 2. So you can get that push and create a lot with a one-hand stab because there you can go one-hand bull rush, you can go one-hand bull rush, let it die, and then that takes edge, or you go one-hand bull rush and spin. So there's a lot that you can create off of the one-hand stab. I wish he would use it a little bit more. But I think that he's starting to come around a little bit more just because he's showing flashes against some really good tackles.
Oh, and where did he go to school?
He went to Florida State.
That's right.
That's right.
Adam, why don't we see Josh Sweat play a little more? I know there's been concerns about his history.
That's it. It's because of the nerve issue that he had in his knee, where his career was almost ended in high school, where he almost lost his leg. They just have to be careful about how many snaps that leg could handle, but they've managed it right, and this has been a great find for them. The reason why some teams had him off the board is they thought it'd be other teams thought he'd be a one-contract player. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, you're probably not going to draft him very high. He was a 4th-round pick, but he's been a great story, and they move him around.
Yeah.
But you were talking about this earlier. Because the Eagles now are so deep on the D line, this is actually one of the few positions that are healthy other than Malik Jackson. They could do all that they want tonight. Jamal's right, they don't have to blitz. Run that wide 9, get upfield, and the funny thing is, though, the quarterback's are leading rusher. Like, how ridiculous is that? Wow. You don't even have to worry about the running backs.
That's right. That's right. Well, this could be 2 quarterbacks on the run tonight. Daniel Jones and most likely Carson Wentz. We'll get into Carson Wentz right now in a second. First, Everyone, be sure to check out Philadelphia Sports Nation for all of your latest Philadelphia sports news covering the Eagles, Flyers, Phillies, Sixers, Union, Trey Thomas' son's Pop Warner team, everybody, everything going
Flag football,
on.
baby. Flag football. We got to win last week, man.
I love
Gotta
flag.
win.
It's great.
It's awesome.
awesome, man.
Who's the
I
head
actually do
coach?
play-by-play for that. Can you believe it?
You're coaching, right?
Yeah, I'm coaching now.
Yeah.
I redesigned the playbook.
Michael Vick was in it, American Flag Football League.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There you go.
The Chad Ochocinco was
Chad,
in it.
yeah. Oh.
I've been up for the past couple of days redesigning our playbook.
I've seen
Wow.
it. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's
All
very
right.
intricate.
We
It
run
is
a no
by the way,
huddle
it is
offense.
not easy for ex-NFL players to play flag football because they want to tackle.
Yeah.
They're not good at the ground.
Yeah, I wouldn't play flag football. No.
It's not easy.
Yeah, no, I'm not
easy.
doing that. No.
Well, just make sure you're checking out our friends at PHLSportsNation.com. Find them on Twitter at PHLSportsNation. All right, let's talk about him. Carson Wentz, he's been described as heroic over the last 2 weeks. It's been very interesting, right? He could barely move the ball against Baltimore, and then all of a sudden, in the fourth quarter, the man explodes. The Eagles had -7 yards after their first 6 possessions. I mean, they looked like it was going to be one of those games that we all predicted. 30
to nothing, yeah.
35-2, and then all of a sudden Carson Wentz started to heat up. And you look at his past 3 weeks compared to his first 3 weeks. Now, the numbers still aren't wonderful, but check him out. First 3 weeks, 58.5% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, and a 62.5 passer rating. The last 3 weeks, still completing about 57% of the passes, but 5 touchdowns to 3 interceptions and an 80.7 passer rating. These are not numbers to put on the refrigerator, but clearly a big difference over the last 3 weeks.
And he's with less linemen. How do you explain that?
I don't.
And harder competition.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Because he's put the team on his back.
A friend of mine said he does better with the UPS guys around him than the
does.
actual
He
All-Stars.
does.
He does.
And I
But
think
how does
not
that
having
work?
Ertz in his game plan is going to help him again.
How?
Because he doesn't have to force the ball to Ertz. You go back and you look at that.
It's going to
Baltimore-
Fulgham.
Yeah, you look at that play. The formula for Baltimore's game plan was forcing the ball to Ertz. And now that you don't have Ertz in the game plan, I think it's going to allow Wentz to see the field a little bit more and deliver the ball to some of the different players because now you don't have those names that you have to say, I need to get the ball to them.
Dude, it's like he's an ugly winning style type quarterback. Like, it's never the way you draw it up. Like, all the plays, the come from behind plays. Travis Fulgham, it was 2 people in the end zone, and he still made that catch. Like, Carson shouldn't have thrown that ball, but he made a hell of a
was a
grab.
great
I don't
throw,
agree.
though.
I don't agree with that.
Oh, okay. Well,
But wouldn't you just, if you trust the receiver,
Yeah,
wouldn't you throw it up to him and go get it?
with Marlon Humphreys and that Ravens
I get it, but
secondary.
he's bigger than Humphrey.
True enough, I would beg to differ just because 9 times out of 10, the receivers doesn't come down with the ball, but he threw it to a different guy. But my point is, like, I don't see any, like, it's not, there's no rhythm to this offense. Like, everything is a struggle. Like,
I agree.
why is it
100%,
like 18 plays to get
But
40
is it the
yards in a
OL?
field goal?
Is it the
you know?
injuries on the offensive line? Is it the lack of depth at receiver? No running game? What is it? Why are they struggling so much? It could be 10 things, I know, but boil it down to 2 or 3.
Protection is one. I do feel that, you know, and I think it's just the plays that they're running. Like, these guys they don't know what they're doing. Like, even the receivers that go out there that gets none of the blame when they run a wrong route or see a wrong coverage and they blame it on the quarterback. Like, these guys got to do a lot more to help the quarterback. Like, the one cat, Watkins, the 3rd play of the game, that's a touchdown. Just catch the ball.
Right.
That's why they drafted you. Hightower, yeah. So like, I just think the players around him, they make it a lot more difficult to, like, move the ball and score points.
Right.
You know?
If I could maybe meet you guys in the middle and what you're saying about whether or not he throws that pass or should have, right? Isn't that what, you know, the great quarterbacks that he's been compared to, like the Favre, Roethlisberger, whatever, they were kind of known for making that, no, don't do it. Oh, you did, okay, it's completed pass, great job type of play, where you wouldn't ask a lot of people to do that. But
Exactly. I agree with
Carson
that.
gets knocked for not trusting his guys sometimes enough, and there
And
you
holding
just
on to the
show
ball
faith
too
in
long.
them
And
holding on to the
now, I
ball.
would say on that play, though, he mechanically, he threw off his back foot. You don't want to do it. Keep
That's
going
a
back.
There was a
That's
pressure.
a
You don't want to do
Like,
that. But he did throw it up to.
Yeah, he
the
did.
kid is
He
tall.
did. He did.
He
Is
made
that
a
not
play.
Carson Wentz in a nutshell?
And then, but you know, he was under pressure, and he was like, "Look, man, I need you to go make a play for me. Here you go."
There you go,
I mean,
right.
And then you had Fulgham that one time when we were going into halftime. I mean, Fulgham almost came down with that Hail Mary. So I mean, you know, If you find your playmaker, hey, man, sometimes you need them to go out there and make a play. Hey, go do something for me.
One question, though. What is the difference between a guy, I think you guys were with, remember Nate Brown?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Nate Brown. Hank Baskett. Guys who are superstars in training camp or preseason but never make it. This kid's I was there for his first practice. I was like, who is this kid?
Yeah.
Okay? But yet, from what I've been told, he was great in practice during training camp and the regular season. They gave him a chance, and he's been a star so far. Why does he make it and guys like Baskett, who was incredible in the preseason, not make it?
Yeah, well, you know what? We don't put much into the whole training camp performance.
Apparently.
As players, like, we don't, as players, we're like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. Let's wait until we see what,
right.
what really
when
happened.
the lights go on, right?
Everybody look cool when you got shorts on. Let's see what happened when the lights come on, but.
Everyone remember Lorenzo Booker, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's another one. But what happens? What happens?
I mean, I think in the Hank Baskett case, no pun intended, but he surprised us with a lot of long touchdown runs, where Donovan hit him in stride. So, once we saw that he could be like a deep threat guy, we kind of just left him at that. He wasn't a 10-yard out guy or possession receiver. He was just a home run guy. So, I guess once you find out the niche that your particular receiver has, you stick with it.
This kid's doing everything.
He does.
Yeah, I
everything.
think Pregame is the truth, though. I think he's a really good player.
You think he's for real?
Yeah, I think he's for real.
I mean, yeah, of course. Like I said, he should be, when all the receivers come back, he should be the one that actually keeps his
He should be
reps.
their ex.
Yeah,
he should
definitely
Jeffrey
be
should
in
back him up.
Yeah.
I don't care how much he's making, right?
Yeah, I don't care.
We don't, but
I don't.
they do.
This kid's a star. This kid's got it.
Yeah,
right?
I think Pregame definitely has it. He's a playmaker, and I mean, he goes after the ball, and he catches the ball in traffic, and he catches with his hands. He's not a body catcher, and that's one of the things that I think separates him from a lot of these
Might
other
be
players.
one of the first receivers that, that they actually took a look at that can turn into something. Like they, if he keeps up with how he's playing, he'll probably be in the plans moving forward.
So it's no doubt that Carson's been heroic and he's been kind of willing the team to win. But tonight, if the Eagles are going to win, the captain needs a little help. He's got to help land this plane with somebody around him, and he won't have Hurts, which you think might be helpful. He also won't have Miles Sanders, who's given them two of their biggest plays in back-to-back weeks to even help them be in the game. You have to imagine Boston Scott will get a decent amount of carries tonight. As Adam mentioned, they didn't call up Elijah Holyfield, so it's Boston Scott and Corey Clement. We already talked about Fulgham. I do wonder if Joe Judge, being from that Belichick tree, you know how they always do the whole take the only player who can hurt you out and make everybody else kind of beat you philosophy will come into play tonight. And then if that's the case, who does Carson have to help beat?
Who do you going to say that you're going to take away? Because you don't know who can hurt you now.
Well, I was thinking Fulgham would be the guy on
Yeah,
tape.
you're going to say, all right, we're going to try to take Fulgham, but Rodgers has made some big catches out there. You're going to have Brown out there that he's been making some nice catches out there for him.
Draw it in the dirt football.
Yeah, I mean, so, who are you going to say? I think.
Is that a strategy? I mean, that can work for a game?
That's how they seem to be successful. It's not how you draw it up. It never is. Like, all the points that they score, when they're moving the ball and Carson's under duress, it's never what the play is called. Never. So he thrives off that.
Yeah.
And we knew that they wanted to go to Miles Sanders as a feature back, their next three-down back. Doug Pederson has never had that three-down back since he's been here. He's always had the committee. They chased after a couple of veterans and didn't come home with anybody in the offseason, Adam. And I can't think about how many times we talked about what would happen if they were in the situation where Miles Sanders would get hurt and who they would turn to. And I think we're discovering...
The term is the answer, right?
Right.
What's your
we
answer?
thought about Boston Scott was he's a good number 3, but is he the guy to be a number 2?
Yeah, he's a changeup. I know he did a good job against the Giants, and he actually had double-digit touches, actually well above that, and did a good job, but that was then, this is now. He does not look the same. I understand the offensive line's a problem. I get it, but he's not a number 2 running back. You don't want to feature him, and tonight, if he handles it, he's going to be featured. I'm not real super confident that he can get the job done. He has not looked the same as last year, but I'll say this much. He is really interesting. Last year, when they got him outside formation, on just a flare pass, something like that, get him outside.
On the move,
yeah. He can do that. Where's the screen pass? I know what he's going to say because he's told us we haven't had one. They haven't had one, but
they tried one last week.
We actually ran
terrible.
the screen a couple times last week, and that was kind of successful. But again, I'm going to let Jamal take this because he's ran more of the screen stuff. So
go ahead. Go ahead, 67.
about the screen.
Please let us know.
Go to center stage.
I mean, It just depends on where you're at on the field as far as the screen game goes. And Doug he hasn't been quick triggered with it. It's more or less a three-man screen, or actually a two-man screen. With this inexperienced offensive line, I would see why they wouldn't call it as much, because it's more timing. You don't want to completely let the man go. A couple times they did that, and Carson got hit on the screen. Like, you're supposed to at least give it a 2 count.
You have to
1,001,
block the
1,002.
protection. You have to block the protection just
First, like, you
2
always
seconds.
protect first, and then throw the guy inside or outside, opposite of the screen. And the backs got to do a good job in timing that as well, because they got to set up their blocks and lose their guy as well. And just right now, you don't see it called a lot because it isn't successful when they call it.
It's weird because I thought maybe that with all the offensive linemen coming in and out, it would be hard to get a timing play like that together. But then I go see pitch, catch, pitch with Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts and think, if you could try that, you can work on a screen in practice.
Which didn't work.
I know it didn't
You
work.
had all the offensive linemen, everybody on the left side. They let their guys go, and then they just kind of hung out on the left side of the field like, oh, yeah, nobody's going to pay attention to us. You know what? No, you don't see us. We're invisible.
Wrong
and
defense.
then they ended up, all of that for what, 2-yard gain?
And then you go back, to my man, Boston Scott. Look at the big difference from when they played last year to this year. Wasn't he coming off the practice squad and didn't have any reps at all? Like, he was the fastest guy on the field when they played the Giants last year.
Did a good job. He looked really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
This year, he looks like just one of the guys. Like, it's kind of like
just a guy.
Just a guy. Right. Yeah, it's like speed-wise, he looks like, training camp and practicing, it caught up to him. Last year, he was a lot fresher than
When
everyone.
I first saw him, based on what Jamal was talking about, I thought he was like a little slower but thicker version of Darren Sproles. He was really good. And then now, whether it's part of the offensive line or not getting the reps in practice, because he's not had a lot of touches, Jeff.
No, he hasn't. And I feel like them being behind the sticks so much as they've had has also hurt trying to get the other guys some carries and touches.
I'll tell you what, though, it would be interesting, not that the Dolphins are thinking about doing it, but Jordan Howard has not been active. They're paying him $4.75 million. The Eagles loved him. I could tell you from talking to some people with the Eagles, they couldn't offer him any money compared to what the Dolphins did, so they had to let him walk. But I'll tell you what, if the Dolphins were willing to cut him, wouldn't shock me if he came back here.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't mind that, but my first call is to the Jets for Frank Gore. I just want.
Oh, yeah,
I'll
you
take
asked me
Frank
that
Gore
question.
any day, every day of the week.
I would.
He'll come in here and he'll help with the culture.
He still has
especially.
it. His son is playing college football.
Right.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
Gore has been in the
That is
game for now,
amazing.
what? It's been, 15 years, something like that?
Played against him in high school.
Did you?
You played against him in high
Oh,
school?
my
Yes,
God.
with the Carl Gables.
Oh,
Wow.
that's crazy.
Wow.
You guys
He's
feeling
still
older by the
playing.
minute as we do this show and talk
Man,
about
I don't-
DeSean and Frank Gore and
I don't know how he does it, man. Like,
Keeps himself in great
Especially
shape,
a
right?
running
it's like,
back.
16 years, 17 years?
these guys get hit.
You know, he was an Eagle for about 5 minutes, by the way. Do you know that?
Oh, yeah. I remember that. I remember that. And then somebody
teammates
told him
with
not to come here or something like that.
That's the truth. To it. That's another coaching story.
So, because I have both of you here, I have to ask this question because it's about what we're talking about with Doug, the offense, screens, ingenuity. You guys who played for Big Red see what he does on a week in and week out basis, and I get it. He's got a lot of healthy guys. He's got speed. He's got more firepower right now than the Eagles. But Doug coming from that tree, do you wonder a little bit at why Doug doesn't try to incorporate the same concepts as much?
Well, I think the thing that separates Doug from Big Red is big on making sure that when you practice full speed. And the timing of it is down, where you got to make sure that your receivers are running full speed. I need you guys to be out there getting it so that the quarterback knows when to let the ball go, where you're going to be, and all of that plays into it. You can't be a player-friendly coach and expect for something like that to happen because guys will start, taking it easy in practice. Hey, I feel like practicing full speed today, not full speed tomorrow. And then it starts showing itself in the game because especially when it's timing stuff or where I need you to be in a certain spot, and because you were in full speed in practice, now the ball is behind you when you're running full speed in the game. So now that's where you start seeing these situations. I think the thing that's, for me, is just that Big Red holds his players accountable, and he makes sure that everybody is out there giving it all every time they go out there for practice.
I mean, it goes back to that whole high ankle sprain, one practice. Like, You know, like Big Red, he wanted like tough guys, like mentally,
Big Red was no
physically,
joke, man.
you know, especially mentally. You know, if you can handle like his training camps, the meetings, and if you can just get through that, you got a place on this roster. You know, and I think it's hard when you combine a player's coach to be like this authoritative figure, and then you try to demand stuff out of guys, and you know, and on the other hand, oh no, you can take this practice off. You know, you can rest this day.
Yeah, when you're giving out rest days, I mean,
it doesn't work that way. You know?
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect from the team when you're giving out rest days?
Right.
Because that's going to start seeping into your younger players.
Yeah, like
you know.
I got a bum ankle. You know, I can go, but you know, coach gave such and such off, so I'm gonna try. You know, I'm just asking some time. Like, it doesn't work that way. That's not how you build a championship culture.
All
you
right.
know?
All right. Well, one ingenuity that he did bring to the offense last week was using Jalen Hurts a little more. We saw some zone read. We saw the pitch and catch. We've seen a little bit of gradual incremental more usage of Jalen Hurts. So tonight, short rest, preparation. Do you think Jalen Hurts becomes a guy who's an X factor? What is the next step? Like, what would you do with him next?
Well, you already had him throw a pass in Pittsburgh against Pittsburgh. I would have him really go ahead and air it out. Let's go ahead and see what you could do. You know, yeah, you're going to have him mixed in with some more of those little zone read, gadget plays or whatever, but I think teams are going to start catching on to that and playing it differently, especially based off of how it happened against the Ravens, how they came in there and just crashed down on it, stopped it when it was the first 2-point conversion. They came in and crashed that little zone read play. You know, the first first down was off of Jalen Hurts' work.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? So, you know, yeah, it looks cute, but is that going to win you a game?
Well, help settle an argument between Adam and myself.
Yeah.
I said that the play that Miles Sanders had the 74-yard run in where Jalen Hurts was lined up and he went and faked the reverse. I said anybody could have faked that reverse. That wasn't a reaction, in my opinion, to Jalen Hurts being on the field. But if I'm wrong, I'll admit that. Do you feel like his presence and that specific pattern that he did was the key to unlocking that role?
I definitely think it affects the linebackers.
Yeah.
Well, they followed him, right?
Well,
but they were in man defense, were they not?
I mean,
they had to follow him anyway.
You see, number 2 in the game, your antennas go up.
Yeah.
So it's like our focus has to at least be somewhat towards here, even if it is for a split second.
You guys just like Adam better.
No, I won.
It could have been John Hightower, and that play was still going to be a 74-yard.
No, John Hightower doesn't get that same respect.
Now, I would say if Ortega Whiteside did, they're not paying attention. They're not paying attention.
All right, fair. That's
How
a
would
good
you
answer.
run a reverse?
But again,
All right,
it's
so
a
now-
change-up. It's to make the defense think. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but they're so desperate for anything. But tonight, they get number 10 back. We'll see.
They do. We'll see what happens. All right, who wants to talk about some male grooming? I know Trey Thomas does.
I know somebody does.
man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, first, before we get into Trey's wonderful read, we are going to give our Manscaped Man of the Game. I will start with you this week, Adam. Who's going to be your Manscaped Man of the Game tonight?
Fletcher Cox.
Oh, I haven't heard his name lately.
No, but you know what? Again, that giant offensive line is very weak in the interior. Actually, weak overall, 5 of them. You're right. This is the time. They're not going to blitz very much. They shouldn't. Win your matchup. And he should with that wide 9. The wide 9 was made for him. Remember Jim Washburn?
Oh, I remember.
That's why he wanted him. Run that wide 9. He's Mr. Wide 9. He's the father of the wide 9. But tonight, it's going to work, and Fletcher's going to eat tonight.
All right, Jamal Jackson. You're filling in.
Oh, yeah.
You can't drop the ball here. No John Hightower. Who is your
Who gets it done tonight? Who gets it
Man
done?
of the Game?
I'm going to stick on the defensive side of the ball with man Adam. I'm going to go Darius Slay.
See, I knew you liked
Slay.
Adam more.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
Slay on Slayton?
Yeah, Slay on Slayton. I mean, you know, I feel a turnover tonight, like, and not a script, an interception. You know, he's been doing a great job this year, you know, locking down the opposing team's top receiver. But, you know, I think we're going to get a turnover out of him tonight.
Oh, that would be, I believe, Darius Slay's first of the year. if
You
he's
know,
able to
compliment with the D-line, getting pressure on Daniel Jones. Yeah, he should throw a couple up.
go. All right, nice blazer, by the way.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
I mean, it was last minute.
Hey, that's what makes it nice. My Manscaped Man of the Game is going to be Boston Scott. I just feel like the
Really?
Eagles are going to need some semblance of a running game, of a short game, something to help move the chain so that Carson Wentz does not literally have to be the leading rusher, the leading passer, out on the Wildcat, leading blocker. I mean, they got to take some pressure off this guy, and Boston Scott's really the only one in the running game that I think can help him do that. So that's my Manscaped man of the game. Trey, take it away with your Manscaped man of the game.
I'm going with the offensive line again. I mean, you know, they need to protect Carson. I mean, you have a defensive front that, you know, right now, how many sacks has this defense created? I mean, I don't know. I mean, they created, I lost my page
Don't
right
get
there.
a ton of pressure.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't create a lot. They've had 15 sacks so far. So, I mean, again, you know, this is offensive line that needs to come out here, and you need the ball. You need to protect Carson Wentz and give him time to get the ball out, and they need to get the run game going. So, again, when you're having another switch with guards and another group that's starting, I got to put it on the offensive line for me.
All right, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Manscaped?
All right, so Manscaped. All right, Halloween is right around the corner, and you don't want to spook someone with your scary bush. Our friends at Manscaped want to help make your boys downstairs clean. Manscaped is #1 in men's below-the-waist grooming and offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. You might be Chewbacca, Bigfoot, or a hairy bear, but it's what's under the costume that really matters. Don't be that hairy guy. Manscaped is forever changing the grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0. Inside of the Perfect Package, you'll find their new and improved electric trimmer, the Lawnmower 3.0. This waterproof and skin-safe trimmer will reduce nicks to your pumpkins. You can also create less mess by trimming in the shower or using their Magic Mac disposable shaving mats. And we can't forget about the Crop Preserver, which is an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. That's right. Anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer.
Hey, man,
I didn't know I had pumpkins down below.
Might need to peep them.
Yeah, there you go.
Got a discount code?
Yours are
Yeah,
we do.
I'm going to get to that.
Yours
You
are really
already
good.
put deodorant on your armpits. Why are you not putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? The Perfect Package 3.0 also includes anti-chafing performance boxer briefs that keeps your undercarriage cool and smelling fresh all day. You got to give your boys a home. For the on-the-go freshness, you'll love the Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray. It's time to get clean and mean with the Perfect Package 3.0. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you use promo code TRAY, T-R-A, at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off plus free shipping when you use promo code TRAY, T-R-A, at manscaped.com. Stay sexy this Halloween. Your balls will thank you.
Your balls.
I didn't know they could talk, though, but okay.
Yeah, your balls talk to you sometimes.
Really? All right, guys.
I was very much looking forward to Jamal's reaction sitting next to you because we know when Greg Cosell, he can't keep it together.
Dude, he gets a kick out of that, man.
He's really good at it, man. He should do voiceover work.
Hey, he goes balls to the wall. What can we say?
Yeah.
All right?
No, he goes balls, you mean.
You don't want to get too close to the wall with him.
No.
'Cause you got to be
You don't
able to
want to
talk.
hurt yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to hurt yourself.
You don't want to talk, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Thought this was a
but-
football show.
It is football.
It is a football show. Speaking of balls to the wall,
Yes.
Riverboat Doug, going for it, not going for it. We must get into this because Doug Pederson has me playing some mental gymnastics here.
Very
We-
inconsistent.
We know he's been one of the most aggressive coaches in the league since he got in 2016. We know that they rely more on analytics now than maybe they did when you guys were playing. But you go for it against two on your first down against the on your first touchdown against the 49ers, and you say, I'm just trying to get my offense going. That's a gut feel, right? I'm just trying to get my offense
Jeff,
going.
that one that you were talking about was because he didn't do the right thing the game before against the Bengals, the overtime game. And he wanted to send a message. Okay.
Right.
But that was such an aberration, though. That's not what he would normally do, right?
This is my point, though.
Okay.
One time you do it for gut. Another time you do it because you're down double digits and the circumstances tell you your winning percentage is better. I was under the impression, and maybe you guys can tell me wrong, that you're either analytics or you're not. And that
Right.
analytics is supposed to mitigate these gut instinct kind of calls when you're in the heat of the moment. It seems to me that Doug is trying to marry both of these concepts when they're supposed to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah. For me, I thought that it was a bad call. I would have gone ahead and taken the extra point and get on out of there just because you had a big play. Your offense is looking for some type of momentum. You needed some certain type of energy to come behind your offense. Go ahead, let's get this extra point, get off the field, everybody's hyped. But instead you go for a 2-point, you try this garbage-ass zone read run, it gets destroyed in the backfield. That right there kills momentum when you come off to the sideline.
Now they get saved because they make their next two. So by the time they score their fourth touchdown, they have 28 points, which is what you would normally get But I do wonder, as we talk about the two-point conversion at the end of the game, Doug Pederson comes out and says, my fountain of two-point conversions kind of ran a little dry there.
I could not believe they said that.
I've never heard a coach.
When I heard
a coach say he ran out of
like,
said that.
What?
Exactly.
And the play came out late.
How do you run out of plays from the two?
You think Andy Reid would ever said that?
I hope not.
On Fridays, we run goal line. We run at least 10 plays down there. You had more plays. He had more plays. I don't know why he said that.
So,
like that was my whole thing. It wasn't the fact that they ran that play. It's what he said to back it up. Like, you don't have any more plays?
And you ran the same play that got crushed on the first touchdown.
So you mean to tell me not only do you not have any
Why
more
would he
plays,
admit-
but
have
you ran
ever heard
one
a
play
coach-
twice?
Have you ever heard a coach admit that you didn't have plays ready?
Never.
Publicly.
Never.
And
Never.
coming off of a 2-minute.
Never.
In this market. In this market.
That was
Can you believe that?
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And the whole play, if you go back and you watch this play, the whole play was going to be trash anyway, just because they called the wrong person to work towards.
Yeah.
They called
Yeah.
Mike to the safety.
I'm
Jack,
thinking-
Can you please explain to them, when you call
Yeah,
Mike to
yeah.
the safety, what that does right there? It spreads the line to
Everybody else has to go this way, this way, this way. When you push the mic over, now I got to get, instead of the A gap, I got to get to the B gap. Instead of the B gap, he got to get to the A gap. You know, like, it throws off.
I thought they were going to do a sprint right option. Just roll him
Yeah,
out.
just get on the edge, right?
Just let him roll out and find his man to Fulgham. 2 points.
And we haven't seen a shovel pass since Andy left.
Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Like,
can
That's
we
it.
bring
By the way,
the
that's a
shovel pass
staple
back?
play for the
two-point
Kansas
conversion?
City. By the way, to
all the
Kelce.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
man.
that play was so trash just from jump. I mean, it had already got crushed with the first 2-point conversion, and then you come back and now you need these 2 points to tie the game to give yourself a chance to get into the win or tie, well, to tie or to even have a chance to go into overtime, and you just call the same exact play and you blow it with the call. Whose fault is that? Is it going to be Kelce's fault? Or is it the coach's fault? Because to me, I'm looking at Kelce like you should have called Mike 48.
True enough, but
You should've called Mike 48.
I'm also looking at the coach when he called that same play with a person that's supposed to run it and it didn't work. And then you come back and run it with a player that don't supposed to run it and it still don't work.
He should've called Mike
You should have
48
scrapped it. Yeah, you should have.
He should have called Mike 48.
They should have thrown the ball. They should have got Wentz on the edge, like Adam said. Give him a two-way go. You know, if it's not open right now, run it.
You thought the center was going to throw the center under the bus.
Yeah,
That's
not
not
happening.
But
That's not
I'm just
happening.
saying, though,
No,
you
that's
know
not
what? He
happening.
should have called Mike 48 because if he calls Mike 48, then now that puts the offensive tackle, man on that defensive tackle that's over him. You had a one technique that was between Kelce and the right guard. Now you got an A combination block up to 48, and then now you have cutoffs on the backside. Now you have Jordan that's going to cut off 99, and then Nate would have cut off whoever the defensive tackle over him. Now you run an inside zone, and then you have 58 that you can option off of. You should have called Mike 48 on that.
When you run that play, as he says, when you run that play, it was over from the snap.
Yeah, it was
the quarterback and the running back ran into each other.
Right.
So the mesh points they was too close. You can't fake anybody out. One defensive lineman could have killed that play
I
on
want
his
to
own.
simplify it because you're playing with all these backups. Just make it easy.
Just make it easy.
Well, he tried to. He tried to call it on inside zone, but Kelce made the wrong call. He called Mike safety. You need to call Mike 48, and at least you can get a sift between the tight end there as well.
That looked like a zone read.
Yeah, it was a zone read.
Inside zone, you giving him the ball. Zone read, he's riding the back and reading the defensive end.
Yeah, but if you get a cutoff, you know what I'm saying? If you get the cutoff, and then now you have to read the outside guy. You have to at
It
least
wasn't the center's fault.
Man,
Like,
he
it
should've-
wasn't the center's fault.
he should've
In
called
that
Mike 48.
situation, it's
He
not
should
the
have called
center's
Mike
fault.
48 because you spread the line too thin on that. And Jordan Mailata jumped the snap count, which put 99 in the backfield way too quick.
The next time Jamal is on, we're having this pay-per-view. Okay? All right, we're going to have the main event. We'll have something leading up.
I
and
mean,
it'll be,
it happens, but you know, like he said earlier, the center is the quarterback.
Yeah.
So he was right.
okay.
Yeah. Anytime he makes a call, you have to go with
gotta
it.
go with it.
Patrick
But-
Queen is the guy you're talking about, 48 for the Ravens?
Yeah,
He's the Mike, right, on that play.
Yeah, on that play, he's the Mike
Right,
linebacker.
right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because you got 48 that's standing in the middle, you had 99 and then 58 outside.
58 outside.
Yeah, so now if you call 48 Mike, then now you get a combination block between center and
He's,
right
by the way,
guard.
he's
You gotta
smaller.
double
Yeah.
Patrick Queen is like 225.
I don't care what size
But
he
he's
is.
smaller, all right.
You
But
just
you
have
got
the
like
combination
two
block
double
down.
teams.
up,
You
right?
know what I'm saying? You got the combination block upside, so now you can run inside zone right up in there if you get cutoff blocks on the 3 and 5 technique. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what size he is. The combination block needs to go to him instead of you saying Mike's safety.
And now you gotta push it over.
Right guard and tackle.
Got it.
They're fanning to the safety. Kelce had to block the one technique man, and then the tackle and guard, left tackle and guard, had to work a combination block to 48. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And now you have 99 and 58 coming free, unblocked. There's no way you're going to option off
So they
that.
didn't identify it right pre-snap.
No, it was trash from jump. That play wasn't going to work.
He identified the wrong mic, if that's what he did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he identified the wrong mic.
Well,
Thank you for agreeing with me on that.
There you go.
Hey,
No, we can't have that. That's off-camera stuff, all right? Agreed. All right, well, Doug may have, and the offense may have totally foobarred that two-point conversion
What does
at
that
the
mean?
end.
No, I'm just kidding.
You know what that means. And so does every Eagles fan watching this
Hey, this
game.
is television on the internet.
I
We
can
say
say
it.
foobarred, yeah. But one thing Doug's very good at is Thursday night football. In fact, he's got the best record in the NFL, 5-0, a perfect 5-0 on Thursday night. Maybe there's a method to his madness. He was asked about it this week during his press conference, and let's listen to the Eagles head coach on why he's so good on Thursday night football.
Throw it. I don't. I think I'm constantly learning each week, but I know on the short week, it's really about the players, right? And it's about their health and their recovery from a physical game, on Sunday, and you're turning around and playing here on a Thursday, and just how you talk to the team from a recovery standpoint. I mean, put more of it, put the onus kind of on them. To make sure that they take care of their bodies, because the practices, they're not physical type practices, and it's all mental, and so prepare the coaches. Obviously, you go into games like this, and you scale back a little bit, in your game planning. Go back to some of the more training camp, early in the season plays that we've done. We still have young guys playing, so we can't get too complex or too carried away with formations or plays. And I think you just focus on that, and you just focus within, and just get you guys as prepared as possible. And but the bottom line is really how healthy, number one, your team is, but how they recover from a short week.
All right, that was Eagles head coach Doug Pederson on why he has a perfect record on Thursday Night Football. And props to you, Sean Wilford, who just pointed out that I probably jinxed Doug Pederson and his perfect record on Thursday Night Football.
You got to point out the facts, though. You got to point out the facts.
I think a lot of people don't realize what the week is like for Thursday Night Football. There's no real practices. Is that fair? I mean, they're very fast-paced walkthroughs. Yeah. Do they put the pads on at all? Right? I don't think they do.
No, we never did.
What's Tuesday like? The only day that they would do anything.
Tuesday for us sucked because I took Toradol, so
Yeah.
yeah,
so it was like,
and explain why
They
that's
outlawed that.
Explain that. Troy.
just Toradol was an anti-inflammatory that took away all your pain.
Right.
So like, man, I would take a Toradol shot right now. It was awesome. But like Toradol was amazing. It just took away all your pain. Like by the time the season gets going, you can't make a real solid fist. Your knees hurt, your elbows hurt. Just all the banging, but Toradol would take all of that away. So by game time, man, you ready to get out there and go rock, But now, Toradol starts getting out of your system by Monday evening, so Tuesdays usually just suck. You're just kind of like,
But what were the practices like? How long were they? Just a walkthrough, right? A long walkthrough?
Man.
if it was early, like normally our Thursday night games was late because we played.
Because you got Tuesday that we treated like a Thursday practice. And depending on when we had this game.
Yeah, if it was late in the season or early in the season,
okay.
would
that would vary on how we practiced it. Because Big Red was, we went pads. I mean, it was.
Yeah, we played
for a short week.
We playing
really?
Thursday, like
what?
We
played Monday. It didn't matter.
Remember when we would do 9 on 7, then take the pads off?
Yeah.
Like he would let us do that, and it was probably one day or something like that. But it wasn't nothing crazy.
But even for us, when we went shells, I mean, it was.
We was going hard. We going full speed.
Like even shells.
Not anymore.
Shells for us was just like you may as well put on the pads. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
And it was more. It was more mentally, more walkthroughs.
Yeah.
It wasn't nothing. It was like full speed. But like when we got into our like 9-on-7 stuff with the shells on. The linemen, they want us to go all out, so because that's how we practice anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, did Big Red make you guys walk to practice uphill in the snow both ways?
Yeah.
With no shoes on too?
Yeah.
Because all these Big Red stories. I mean, did he like you guys?
Yeah, he loved us, man. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I love Big Red.
I don't think George Hageman liked him very much.
No, he didn't like George.
For those of us who are old enough.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, but that was coming off of Ray Rhodes, you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So it was, it was.
He had to
crack the whip
Ray
a
was a
little
little
bit, you know?
different, you know.
Well, it's interesting because Joe Judge, I mean, you've heard that about the Giants coach, that he was very, he was stopping practices in training camp to get everybody
Start
together
over.
to yell at them, and
Yeah.
that he's been very, obviously he benched Andrew Thomas, their first-round pick, for a team violation last week. So obviously that's going on with the Giants right now. You're trying to establish a culture and at the same time trying to win games here as
They
your first
needed
year.
it. They needed it, Jeff. What was that like with Big Red when you were there? That first
Big
year?
Red fined me probably $30,000 my first year.
For what?
Big
For what?
Red.
For what?
Just for like overweight violations, because he used to fine me $100 per pound that you were overweight. Like if I was a little bit late to something, he'd fine you for that. You're late for a workout, fine you for that. So I think I finished the season with probably about $30,000 that I got fined.
Wow.
Did,
Big Red's first
did
year.
it bother you?
I mean, you know what? I knew what he was. I had to grow up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was my second year in the league, man. I was,
Man, I was out there.
Yeah, man, I was
first round draft pick. I got
Man,
it.
I was so wild. I was so wild my first couple years, Big Red, he had to bring me in.
Had to transform him a little bit.
Jamal, you had different urgency as a guy that was not drafted, correct? What was it like for Big Red your first year?
I always avoided Big Red. I tried to avoid him.
Smart guy.
How?
Well, like walking in the hallways and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, I'm on a practice squad.
Really?
Like, he doesn't know who I am. But I actually met Big Red before I signed with the Eagles. I came on a visit.
Okay.
And, we had a little 5-minute conversation after that. He told me he was a former lineman or whatever. And he liked the fact that I had long arms. I was like, all right, cool. But other than that, like we didn't start like having like a relationship until I was like named the starter, and me and Donovan would watch like tape at the end of practice at night. He would come in there, draw like little pictures on the wall to mess with. Like Big Red is a great artist. He can draw.
His
Really?
His parents are artists.
His parents?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. He can really draw.
I know
like,
that.
dude, he'd sketch up like something on the board quick.
Yeah.
Like, and
Wow.
he was
Learn
real
something
like
new every day.
whimsical like that. So that's when our relationship kind of like developed.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, when I
Big
went out to
Red.
Kansas City
Yeah,
and
man,
I was
I
watching
did.
that training
I
camp, my feelings were a little hurt because he was giving out water breaks, and I'm like, man, Big Red, what is all this? What's all these water breaks? He was like, hey, man, get some water here.
Get
I'm like,
hydrated.
Big Red,
If
What
you
is
get
all
hot,
this?
it's humidity.
I was a little offended. I was a
I mean,
little
but Big
offended.
Red did take
change,
care of us
man.
in training camp, though.
Okay.
He would always send us in early. When he would send us in early, when it was on the hot days.
Well, he got later on. Much later on. In the,
Well,
in
I'm
the,
not talking about the
you
two
might have
padded
been in
practices for
Jacksonville,
2 hours and 45
Man,
minutes. I'm
Big
not talking
Red
about
boy
that.
used to put his foot on our throat, man. It was rough, man. It was rough.
Well, Big Red, much like Doug, also someone who is known for either winning off the bye or winning on short rest in situational football. Hey, if you're watching, again, leave us a comment on YouTube. We'll try to answer it. We've already answered a few people's comments and questions. Also, if you're enjoying today's show, how can you not be?
Exactly.
If you like the sound, if you like the graphics, if you like Adam's jacket, it's all because of our quality team here, Rebel Hill Productions. You got to reach out to Zach and Jim at Rebel Hill today for a free consultation to discuss
They
your
do a great
digital
job.
strategy.
Fantastic.
That's right. They'll adjust they'll give you a consult on your digital strategy and your content needs. You just reach out to them at their email address. It's info@rebelhillconsulting.com. Info@rebelhillconsulting.com.
Yeah.
We'll just pick up the
These
phone and
guys.
call them.
Four cameras in
They
here.
can't see
Four
them.
cameras.
I know.
Can you
Cameras.
believe that?
I walked into it like, man, it was a studio.
Damn good
Lights
job.
on and everything.
You can also call them. You know, people call still these days. It's 215-668-8498. That's 215-668-8498. All right, well, the Eagles are playing a quarterback who is not as accomplished as their last two. You know, the MVP Lamar Jackson, the future Hall of Famer Ben Roethlisberger. They have Danny Dimes tonight.
Ooh.
Are you guys insulted that this guy has
Danny
a nickname
No
already?
Dimes. Actually,
Hey,
Danny
he's
No
been
Dimes.
Danny No Dimes since he got in the league, but they call him Danny Dimes.
He's got
They have a
talent, though.
nickname.
He's got talent.
Yeah, he's a talented young quarterback. I think he's coming around. I mean, Lamar Jackson, he's an athletic quarterback. He's not going to wire you with his arm. But I think, coming in here, Danny's going to, he can throw the ball, man, and if you mess around and get caught slipping, you know, it could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, he put the Giants up 17-0 last year here in Philly. I believe it was 2 touchdown passes that he threw to Darius Slayton. Right? So he clearly found a weakness in last year's defense with the Eagles with really nobody who could defend getting beat over the top.
Was that Eli?
Was it Eli? Oh, it was Eli in the game here.
But it was
he got Slayton in the first game,
it was the
right?
Monday night game.
Yeah.
And remember, the Eagles got booed off the field.
Yes,
at
do
halftime.
remember that.
Was it like 17-0 or something?
I think it was 17-0. Now the Eagles came back to win the game. This year, Danny Dimes has thrown just 3 touchdown passes. That is fewer touchdown passes than 2 quarterbacks who've already been benched. Dwayne Haskins and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Not good.
You can't have Danny Dimes come in here and throw all these dimes on a game like that. This is the area the Eagles have to win tonight.
Yeah, like you guys alluded to earlier, I think it's the D-line, man. You know, they got to get pressure on him early and often. This has to be one of those, like the Jets from last year. You know, where everybody gets up. You know, you got you got an interception for a touchdown. You got a fumble for a touchdown. You got 8 sacks. You know, everybody's getting some of it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the offense scoring more points. Yeah. For me, you know, I want to see this offense go out there and improve on the weeks prior. You know, instead of it being a miraculous comeback, it can be a victory. And, you know, I understand the quarterback is playing better, but it's not relating to wins, so to speak. You know, if we can start turning like some of his heroic performances into W's, then they'll be better off.
When you talk to people around the league, Adam, what do you feel like they say that Danny does well? Because he went top 10, and I know that was criticized at the time, although there were some really prominent analysts. You know, I know Daniel Jeremiah, I think, was one of them who said, you know, he can play this game. He's got skills to be able to be.
He's very aggressive. The word around the league is he's very aggressive. He's a little bit like Wentz in terms of he's willing to make tough throws, but they cannot protect him. He's made some bad decisions with the football. The fumbles were the real problem last year. But when they protected him, and you see his athleticism, again, he's leading in rushing, but for what it's worth. But he's got a strong arm. He's got good size. Coached by the great David Cutcliffe at Duke, who tutored Peyton Manning at Tennessee. So he's coached okay. And the word is from Jason Garrett's people, I talked to a couple guys who work with him, he's a great quarterback's coach. Now, you could talk about how he calls plays. It's a different thing. But he does teach the fundamentals very well. But they've got to protect him. Their line is a joke.
Yeah.
Protect the quarterback. They don't do it very well.
Is that, you think, why? I mean, you look at him, and he's got a little Tony Banks in him. He's been leading the NFL in fumbles ever since.
Tony Banks.
I mean, fumbles all the time.
Yeah, Rams
blast from the past, Tony Banks.
That's a name.
There you go.
Ravens and Rams.
Got hurt, and then Kurt Warner got in, and all of a sudden the Rams are Super Bowl champions, right? There you go. But no, he does fumble the ball a whole lot, and I know he's getting hit, but at some point, that'll get you out of the league real quick if you can't protect the football, no?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, with 17 sacks, I mean, you know, the offensive line is going to have to hold it down for you know, I don't know. We want our defensive front to get after them, but giving up the ball is never a positive when you're talking about the quarterback. I mean, you look at Carson Wentz with the fumbles that he has, everybody's ready to ship him out of town. So, you know, anytime you give the ball to the defense, that's the problem.
Right. Well, it doesn't help Danny, as you mentioned, that he doesn't have a lot of weapons around him. There's no Saquon Barkley. Sterling Shepard will play tonight, but he missed a couple of games.
Yeah, they activated him.
Right. You know, Slayton's a little banged up. But the real perplexing thing is they've got a tight end with a lot of speed. And that's usually the kryptonite for the Eagles.
88.
Evan Engram.
Yep, 88.
And I don't know if it's Jason Garrett. I don't know if it's the offensive schemes. But this guy only has 20 catches for 177 yards and is averaging a career low 8.9 yards per reception.
That's embarrassing.
It's almost like the Eagles, you know, with Ertz, they're almost like pointing at each other, right?
Yeah.
It's that Spider-Man meme in the internet where you're pointing
at each other, right?
Yeah.
They both have young, promising quarterbacks with no help. You know, and one had a tight end, well, one had 2 tight ends, and now they're both injured.
Right.
And you know, this one they're not even using their tight end, but I almost feel like more sorry for Jones than Wentz.
Oh.
No, I'm just saying, with his cast of characters, man. I mean, dude, like your left tackle just said, dude, I'm done. I can't do this year. Everybody on the line, interchangeable. I think they have one starter too. Hernandez, right?
That's it, the last guy standing.
Yeah.
So, and then
Zeitler.
And then your quarterback's the leading rusher
I can't have it.
I feel bad for them.
Because think about it. If you take Barkley out, right, who's one of the best running backs in the league, not just one of the best running backs in the league, young guys, who's awesome in the pass game. Now you got Devontae Freeman, who's been hurt the last 3 years. Yeah, he's hanging on to his career. Had a bunch of carries last week, but he's not explosive at all. It's so predictable. I'm inviting you to run. Please run, because if you throw it, you've got one guy who could run in Slayton. They got the duplicity of Shepard, who you talked about, and Golden Tate. It's a slot receiver. So Shepard, that is not working.
No.
The Eagles should have no problem this game shutting them down.
No,
unless they use 88.
Well,
Engram.
Evan Engram is probably the biggest threat to the Eagles tonight. Yeah. Adam and I had a chance to sit down with ESPN.com's Jordan Raanan. He covers the New York Giants for ESPN.com's NFL Nation. And we asked him specifically, why aren't the Giants able to exploit Evan Engram? Here's what Jordan had to say.
Exactly. Look, if this game against the Eagles, who have given up, what is it, Adam? 6, 7 touchdowns to tight end?
Five to tight end. No, actually 6. Did Boyle get 1 or 2 last week?
He got 1. So now it's 1 to Logan Thomas, 3 to Tyler Higbee, 1 to Nick Boyle, of all people. If Evan Engram doesn't have the breakout game you've been waiting for 5 years, then maybe something is not right with Evan Engram.
We've been saying this for several weeks now. We're like, oh, this is, he's got to do it against this. But no, Evan Engram might be in witness protection or something at this point. That's the one where you want to point your finger at Garrett, because look, Evan Engram, for all you want to say about him, he's so softer tight end. You could beat him up. He can't block. If there's one thing he could do, even under McAdoo, under Shermer, at least he was a receiving threat, right? He averaged, it was close to 60 yards per game receiving. The problem was staying healthy. So he was averaging close to 60 yards per game receiving, at least as a tight end, every time he played. It's probably even higher because he left probably like 4 of those games with injuries. So like you're talking games he played from start to finish. The guy probably averaged close to 65 yards receiving per game, which is a really, really good number for a tight end. I mean, you're talking he's in the Ertz category, the Kelce, Gronks, like those guys are the only guys that get over 60 yards average per game. But Jason Garrett comes and he has this great track record with tight ends. His offense is supposed to be tight end friendly, but guess what? He sapped any kind of effectiveness out of him whatsoever. He looks kind of shell-shocked. He had a terrible first game, Evan Engram, and he hasn't really been able to bounce back. Now, the Giants are trying to get him the ball. And you could see it the first play last week. They drew up a play. They threw the ball to him. It was a 22-yard game. It was the first time this year they threw a pass over 15 yards in the air to Evan Engram.
Oh, my God.
Imagine that.
That was Jordan Raanan. We thank him very much for joining us. Jordan, of course, from ESPN.com, covers the Giants. And the big part of what he said, and by the way, you can catch the full interview on the Inside the Birds YouTube and podcast platforms. The big takeaway he said was, look, they've not gotten Evan Engram the ball, but they tried last week. They threw him a 22-yard pass. It was the first time all year they had thrown a pass to him that went over 15 yards. You have to think that this is going to be a big part of their gameplay. You got to get him isolated on a linebacker that the Eagles have out there. Yeah.
He's a big receiver. He's 88.
And fast.
He's long, he's tall, and he can run. He's one of the fastest tight ends in the league. And as you just said, get him on a linebacker. We said for weeks. We started the season saying, okay, when's the opponent going to go after the Eagles linebackers? Now they've done 6 touchdowns. They're one of the worst teams covering the tight end. Engram should kill them.
Right.
Remember how many times did Jordan Reed kill him when he was with Washington before he got hurt?
Many times.
Do it.
And Tyler Higbee pulled a
3-in-1
copy
game.
of that playbook.
A lot of tight ends scored this year.
Well, let's go through it. Tyler Higbee had 3. Logan Thomas had 1. Who did they play against the Pittsburgh? Ebron did not have 1.
No,
right?
no, but they've given up 6. They gave up 1 last
Nick
week.
Boyle last week.
And Kittle went 15 for 50 and a touchdown. And it was ridiculous.
Just be a tight end. And,
Come on, man. Even Selleck could do something against these linebackers.
Man, it's awful.
So we had a comment from YouTube, Adam. Yeah. Is Evan Engram, despite his struggles, a good fantasy play tonight?
Theoretically, yes, but I don't trust Jason Garrett as a play caller. He's on my I don't trust play caller list. Okay. I just don't. He's not done a good job. But the matchup is phenomenal. I don't care. As well as Singleton's playing, if I'm Jason Garrett, I isolate him on those linebackers, just like the Niners did. Oh, my God, did they kill the Eagles? It was like, okay, I want him on him, Kittle on him, win. 15, how does 15 for 15 happen?
I don't know. I've never seen that in my life. And the fact that he didn't get the 2-point conversion after their touchdown was the irony of all ironies. The one catch that you would think he was going to make. I think the pass got broken up or tipped. But,
it was tipped,
Yeah, well, that's crazy. Real quick, Trey, tonight, who you're going to play mostly nickel. Who are your 2 linebackers?
I don't know.
Singleton's got to be
one,
right?
You got to get Singleton out there. I don't know if
you bench Gary.
That's
what I'm basically asking. Do you bench Gary and play Riley?
Bench, go ahead and you know what? I'll go ahead and go Riley. Duke Riley. You know.
Sounds like you don't think it matters.
Yeah, but then it depends on how Duke Riley comes back. How healthy is he? You know, is this something that? What was his injury again?
Rib.
Okay, so it's a rib injury. So. Should be all right. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and go. I mean, a rib injury is something you can push through.
You're a linebacker.
Yeah, you know,
should.
go ahead, spit on it.
If you can't breathe, though.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't breathe, if it starts impeding, if it messes up your breathing, then that creates a problem. But I think he should be all right. I would definitely go Singleton and Duke Riley.
All right. Before we, come down the home stretch here and give our predictions, give our scores, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't just talk about the state of the NFC least.
But before you do that, here are the inactives. Sudfeld, Jeffrey, Sanders, Wallace, we knew. Driscoll, Quez Watkins is inactive tonight.
Quez Watkins inactive.
He's the additional one, and Malik Jackson.
So that means Arcega-Whiteside will be active tonight.
Correct. They will
I know
dress
a lot of
5
fans
receivers.
were hoping it was the other way around.
They'll dress 5, I think.
So maybe you're right. Maybe we do see some 4-wide formations tonight against this Giants D. But, I mean, I'm sure many of you, if not saw, but at least heard about the Dallas Cowboys debut with Andy Dalton as starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I think whoever wins tonight, if the Eagles win, they're in first place for the second time this year, and they'll have 2 wins.
5-18-1 this division is. How is that even possible?
Is this even fathomable at this point?
What's happened since you guys retired?
They're better off at tying, and it'll still be like.
Could they tie tonight?
It's oh man, I don't know, man. The NFC it turned into like the division that everybody just wants to pick on now, man.
Well, I think with good reason, right?
Yeah, I think with the injury to Dak, it kind of like took away a little bit of stability. Like, from now we have Wentz is the bona fide best quarterback in the division.
When you hear the Cowboys chirping to the reporters privately, okay, criticizing the coaches, they don't know what they're doing. They're not getting us ready to play. Was that something you could even fathom about to do behind Big Red?
I wouldn't do that.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. And then, for a player to speak out like that, they really feel that, that's not something that, because really I felt like we went into every game really prepared, and I felt good about our coaching staff. But for guys to feel like that and to speak about it, that's probably something that they're really dealing with. And that's something that your coaching staff is going to have to go back and go behind closed doors and say, look, all right, you know what can we do to fix this? Because this is how the players feel. And if we're not being effective with the way we're relaying information, then we have a problem.
And then they don't have those older veteran guys to police them. Most of their veterans are injured. Luckily we had guys like Trey, Dalk, that were like kind of like police the players themselves. It wasn't necessarily to the point where Big Red had to say something. The players will push you to the side before it gets to that.
Right.
And then that stuff there breeds a cancerous locker room.
Well, you talk about the value of having a coach like Big Red who can really control a locker room, and you'll relay it to the NFC East. Putting Doug Pederson aside, I'll tell you this, it's not a very popular thing to say right now, but if in the next few weeks Alex Smith becomes the quarterback of Washington, I give them every benefit of the doubt to win the division as much as I would the Eagles or the Cowboys, because I like what Rivera does. I believe he can hold a locker room together, and I think Alex Smith, with that defense, can win just enough games, and it might only be 5, to win the division. So I am not counting Washington out if Alex Smith becomes the quarterback at any time in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Their defense has got some talent.
It's my personal feel.
Absolutely.
It's anybody's race, and that's a game changer in my opinion. All right, let's move on. We got a few minutes left. We're going to do what we always do. About this time, break down this game. I tell you, DraftKings, the line has moved 3, 4, 3.5, 4.5. As we sit here right now, DraftKings has the Eagles as 5-point favorites. I believe that's the highest it's been all week. And they're portending a very low-scoring game with a total of 44.5. And let me just tell you, before we break this game down, that Week 6 of football is in the books. Now it's time to review the tape and get ready for Week 7. There's no better place to get in on all the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. To add to the excitement of Week 7, DraftKings Sportsbook is bringing back their can't-miss offer. If you haven't tried DraftKings Sportsbook yet, head to the App Store now because you don't want to miss this. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new users the chance to earn a sign-up bonus up to $1,000 when signing up using the promo code ITB. DraftKings Sportsbook has endless ways for you to bet, from live betting to betting on your favorite players. They do it all. Don't worry if football is not for you. DraftKings is also giving all MMA and baseball fans who sign up right now the chance to turn $1 into $100 by betting on either of this weekend's UFC 254 or by taking any action on any baseball championship game. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easier for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code ITB when you sign up. Get up to $1,000. That's code ITB to get a sign-up bonus up to $1,000 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Of course, you got to be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only, in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Bonus comprised of a first deposit bonus and a first bet match, each up to $500. And deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, of course, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Jamal, you're the new guy to the set. I'm going to start with you. You pick the score and tell me what's going to happen.
Oh, okay. Well, since we've had a thorough discussion about how putrid the Giants are, I'm going to go 27-17 Birds. I've changed my pick because I didn't know Daniel Jones was the leading rusher for the Giants. I thought he had more of a supporting cast, man. But, yeah, with a battered offensive line and, you know, with all the injuries with their main guy, Saquon, not being there, I just think, and the Eagles wearing all black, you know, they're like perfect in that Thursday night. So
there you go.
You know, I think luck will be on the Birds' side tonight.
Well, you didn't probably know. They run the wishbone. That's why he's their leading rusher.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Trey, what do you got tonight?
Well, you know what? I never pick a score, but I think that the Birds are going to pull this out. I think that we're going to go out there and just battle. I think that the offensive line, you know, you're going to have to answer the charge. I mean, you know, you've given up a lot of quarterback hits, a lot of sacks. But I think that right now that this team is battling to keep guys' minds into the game. And when you're like that, I think that these guys can be able to pull this win off.
How did they win it? How does the game unfold to you?
You know what? I think that Carson's going to make some big throws. I think that he's going to make some big throws. And you want to say that we can go out there and just pound the ball, but at the end of the day, it's going to be 3rd and 10 at sometimes. So I think Carson's going to be out there and make some throws. I think having, you know, this receiving core and tight end that's out there, you don't have any big names that he has to force the ball to, that he feels like he needs to get involved into the game plan. I think he can air it out and spread the ball around.
All right, we'll see. All right, so Trey picks an Eagles win. I will remind you were the one that picked them to lose, or the tie. You picked the tie against Cincinnati.
I said who knows against the Bengals.
Well, I consider who knows is like anybody can win. So you picked the tie.
Yeah.
We're very loose with our grading here, so we give you credit for that. Adam, before you tell me a score, tell me what kind of impact you think DeSean Jackson's going to have on the game.
Big, because we saw it when Watkins drove the penalty weeks ago. If you just have somebody his speed over the top, those safeties, because you would think they're going to keep a safety back, that would help the run game. He's going to help them. And as I said earlier, if he's healthy enough to play, take a shot with him. Because that's what this guy could do. They have one good cover corner. The Eagles will protect. They're going to do a better job. They're going to win 23-10.
23-10. We talked about Engram as a fantasy option. Maybe any great fantasy options in this game?
I would probably say, you know what? Every week it's got to be Fulgham. Now, I haven't really talked about him enough. Fulgham could beat anyone. I love the way that they're using him. And the chemistry that he has with 11 has been pretty fantastic. It's amazing this early he's doing it.
All right, you pick the Birds. Yeah. You pick the Birds. You pick the Birds. Y'all got to make me be the bad guy?
You pick the Giants.
I got to hear this.
I'm a big law of averages guy. I'm not a stat nerd, but when you guys see the undefeated on Thursday night, when you guys see the stats that say the Eagles have beaten the Giants 7 straight times, I know the tendency is to say, hey, you know, they dominate. My tendency is to say the law of averages catches up with you. Yeah. It's not just about stats. It's about where they're at, the difficulties they're having on the offensive line, and the fact that they're actually playing a lesser team, not the Ravens, not the Steelers. It almost feels like the opportunity there for things to start to implode because you don't have that adrenaline like you normally may have. starts to conspire against you. So I'm picking a low-scoring game. I am going with the Giants. I think the Giants win tonight, and they break their streak. They win 20-16 here at the Link in Philadelphia. I know it's a live show, and I have to drive home, so hopefully I'll be taking a different path than I normally do to get here, and I might be asking for an armored car assistance before we get out of here. Thanks to everybody. Jamal, thank you so much. Great job by you. Excellent job. Thanks to DraftKings.
Now I know my way around here.
There you go. Big thanks to Rebel Hill Productions.
Yeah.
Enjoy the game tonight. We'll be back next Sunday to preview the Cowboys. Take care, everybody.